I'll just show you around while we're waiting.
Hello.
Hi, you
Munich,
and flat out
Germany.
say Effie, Mex and Ricardo.
Hey, we're up and streaming.
Yep.
There's always that moment of anticipation as you're packing it all out, as to how quickly you're going to get it shut down. And I guess, did you catch those that police car drive away from him?
I saw the police car there. I didn't see it drive away because I walked
Yeah,
over
he
there.
just drove off as we were finishing up.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Without giving us any. I didn't pay them any attention, but they didn't pay us any attention.
That's great.
Hey, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I think it's time to whip out the old chalk. Start getting people's attention a little bit as they approach the area.
Yeah, maybe do it spread out so when they come towards it, they've already got a little indication.
Ja, der ist kaputt.
Did you get that? My first flat earther in Munich.
Companies in
Yep.
London.
He knows. Look, he's telling them. He's telling his friends.
Thanks, Flatball. So 1 flat earther already. That's pretty good. Morning, Brian. And Amanda, Mary, and good hymns for all.
They go into the boom. Thermodynamics says you cannot have a pressure and a non-pressure side by side. You need a containment. Water's flat and level. Earth is flat. Erde ist flach. Erde ist flach. It's stealing a man. Ah, yeah. And it is flushed. Flush. Yeah, they know. Water level. Water level. And it is flush. Erde ist flach. Erde ist flach.
Right, I've got it with the Chinese. What we need to do for all the Chinese tourists is just write it down in chalk.
Yes. Good job.
Because we're not going to pronounce it.
Yes. Yes. Water is flat.
Piano, piano.
Oh, italiano. La terra è piatta.
La terra.
La terra è piatta. Ah, la terra è piatta. Agua piatta.
L'acqua anche
Agua è
piano.
piatta.
Buona giornata.
That's my Italian about as far as I can go. All the best. Ada ist flat. Das ist flat.
Oh, da buona Maria.
Kaj je bila vas špilka?
Ja, niso dobro, smo šli eksperimentom, zdaj delamo evropsko turo, v 39 državah hodimo, se znamo okolje, kaj se dogaja, cool, ne, zato štiri fucking lažek živimo. Malo mi je težko zdaj sem vem zgovarjati, ker kula piješ, moram govoriti čez kanče, ker hodim čez vse te države. Pa se mi dogaja, potem imamo tako v Tongi, v skupinah hodimo po vseh državah, imamo se z Anglije, Italijanko imamo tudi več. Pa sprutu pridejo područje na nas, pa se na nas, kaj bomo bili. Zdaj smo se vi parkirali, ko čakamo, da še par komoratov da pridejo. Tako da ja, imamo več kot 200 dokazov že vseh lažir, ki nam govorijo, kako nam vlada laže, NASA, ko nam dela, a veš, tiste, pa mi počujemo, ti gumi, ko greš tu, itak ti davk plačaš, ves dolg, njim v seštevk, ne, zato da ti na konc laže, zato da ti na konc naruje oči. Ne, vse, naše te male, moje te male, jaz tega nuče več, seveda ne, imam dosti, da sem 5 let sicer uporabil, da sem vršil do vseh zaključkov, pa ker je težko pogotniti, to nočeš zaprl sploh vzeti tega, sprijeti, ker si rečeš, ne moreš mi napukati, da je vse okoli mene naraš, ne, jaz sem tudi prvi mislil, se je samo ena stvar, pa je vse ostalo, ne, pa je druga, ni, ne, iz tega je res vse, ne, je res vse in res nas skuz zavajajo, da nimamo pojma sploh, kjer smo, kva smo, kje prehajamo, zakaj smo, kam gremo, nič od tega, ne, pa itak, v koncu nam skrivajo stvarnika, kreatorja, ker je, seveda, ko spoznaš celo resnico, spoznaš točno to, kako te zram, ti to skriva, seveda, pa se ti denar ven meče, pa deva, zato da se vsi fajtamo za ta denar, pa za te službe, pa dobro vemo že, danes za to je čisto službenstvo, že sam shift, ko ga upravljamo, redno, vsak dan, moš tam biti, bam, en teden. Ja, a veš, ko smo isto govorili, začetkrat cool je, let it go, ne, sam koliko to vidiš, koliko spoznaš, rekel ne, hočem vedeti, kje živim, hočem vedeti, kakšna je res jamla, kam grem, kaj se dogaja tle, zakaj sem prišel sem, preko tega konference sem to vse spoznal, seveda, in tudi začutil, da sem prijel ključe po pač neverjetni zgodbi, ni to bila moja pot, nisem mislil, da se bo pot pa lažje, ampak sem prvi dan začutil, ko sem šel na turnejo, da sem ne vem, katera država, če res je ta država, da sem videl zmer, tu sem 41 let zdaj, tu sem dejansko 41 let živel tam. Skus imam dober feeling, skus videti tako ljubezen, to je resnica, skus čutiš in potrdila imaš, da si na pravi pot, da je prav, da nič ne delaš narobe, veš, če nekaj narobe narediš, čutiš, da si narobe naredil, če nekaj dobro narediš, to tudi fajn počutiš, ker si dobro ni, da ne pomagal nekaj tu. In zato sem tudi bolj odločen, tako kot smo mi, seveda, ker imamo še tam tudi pokazal, da to počnemo, to smo vseh medij, da je pač prišel. Mi in na vrstu doma, da je okay, Frankfurt, pa Luksemburg, 39 držav v Evropi. Imamo tele letake, imam zraven tele, v Sloveniji smo bili že v Ljubljani, vmes, Zagreb, vse smo že odpirali. Prvo. Skrtuju vse, imajo pod kontrolo, ne, psihopati, katere bojo mestni, elita, dol, so, ja, je ena skupina, ki dela, da ne zavaja, svoj življenj spoznati, kako smo močni na tem svetu, del. Vsak posameznik, a veš, ne sam jaz, ne sam ti, vsi smo posebni. Smo najvišja bitja tele, dobro vemo, da smo, ne, nam tu prekrivajo, pa ti govori, da smo še z Big Banga, pa iz nekaj praha, iz nečega, da se to vse razteza, pa da se kiva, da se kako smo znali, da so vse igrajo, pa numijo, vse imaš igrco. Ja, težko je, samo nekaj igraš, nobena stika ni prisma, vse so narjave računanje, zato lahko viš nekako ste različni si, što pa ti pravi, da je prava, ne, da imaš smrtni knjige, 2, 13, pa Amerika se izpričala in pa. Ali, kako gledaš te na puno, ki jo učijo, sicer tako je na hiter učil, veš, tam tretjem vzeti, druga tretjem vzeti, vržejo ta globus v glavo, da ga tam malo razredi, da te malo pogledajo, vodajo naprej, da je na nož prveč prišlov, prveč, a veš, brihtn bil, potem pošle, imam copy-paste v glavi. A veš, veš, kaj je copy-paste? Isto v glavi, ti šel, ti prizna, okej, pa šel vsem smo rekli, okej, tu je ta kugla, tu smo rekli, da moramo biti diameter,
No, we know if it's flat, but you know what? You know why? You know what? Because water is level.
Because what?
Water is level. Earth is 70% water. And we cannot measure any water bending like this. Think about it. Water, when it settles, is level over any distance that we can measure. So if we got oceans 1,000 miles, it's level. Because the ship, if it was going down, would never come back up. They say gravity is magic for the mind. But really we know that when we try and measure water, always level. Always level. So when we look at NASA, we find that what they give us is computer images, fisheye lenses, a whole lot of fakery like this car Elon Musk put in space. It cannot be. Thermodynamics would insist that there has to be a barrier between space and a pressurized system like this. So we think it maybe looks like this, but that's just a model. We don't know for sure. We know that water is level, and we know that we cannot measure the Earth turning. Only the sun and the moon and stars, we see them moving.
Okay, let's say the Earth is flat. Personally, I don't care if the Earth is flat.
My wife said the same for 2 years. But okay, ask your question.
It's not important for me.
All right. What if?
I mean, I don't think that it's flat, but I don't mind if it's flat.
Or
so it does not have eternal value for me if it's flat or if it's a globe. But I just think if you think it's flat, there's nevertheless the question. If we look at the moon, it's not a disk. It's a globe. That's for sure.
Okay, I won't argue that point.
I'm sure that there's not a disc hanging, you know. If I see the moon, I'm pretty sure that the moon is round because I can see it of the shadow, that it's not a disc.
Okay. And you think it's a rock?
I think it's a
space.
planet.
Okay. So, but can we physically do any experiment here on Earth that will show that a body like a rock will float? You can't actually do any experiment like that. Let's just say, I mean, I think that it's just a light. Now, let's just say that's what we think, it's a light. But I don't know if it's a light. The moon is a light. And we can explain how the light goes off and on through the course of the month, through the cycle. But in mainstream science, they cannot show the rock coming in front of the sun at new moon for 10 hours before and 10 hours after the new moon. If it was a rock, we should see a silhouette. We should be able to see, there goes the silhouette of the rock, with the back being illuminated by the sun, but for us just the dark side. It's a new moon. But 10 hours, mainstream science will say we can't see it for 20 hours. 10 hours either side of the moon. I think we should be able to see it. Now, so for me, I don't think that, I used to think that we went to the moon. Now I don't think we can go to the moon. I think that these are lights, the sun and the moon are small, they are local. You experience them yourself individually, they're not like these big things that are millions of miles away. So that's what I would say. To answer your question as to well, what if all the governments are like this religion, just
I think that this is something which really I think that the government has such a big interest to try. I mean, perhaps the government runs it.
Well, that's why it matters, because imagine if it's true. Just imagine, okay? I'm not saying you must say it's true, but imagine it's true. Then they've done that lie for a very important reason, because it must matter. Just like religion is designed to keep people under control, so too perhaps the gravity science, Einsteinian science of relativity and so on has been designed to keep us in a cage, in a mental cage, to stop us from discovering the truth about this place and about yourself. For me, as a former atheist, I didn't believe in any God until the age of 46. Then I had a pineal gland experience with ayahuasca. I had my third eye opened and I saw that I am part of some awesome creation, some connected to everything. That was in the space of 5 minutes, I went from atheist to a believer in something. And then a few months later, I discovered there's a formula for the curvature of Earth. And we cannot measure any actual curvature of this Earth. So it turns out, after 3 or 4 years of research, solid research, that shit, they have lied to us about everything, about who we are. The division, the governments, they're all in the same club. And the reason they're in the same club is well, we could discuss about why, but I think that there's a spiritual, divine purpose to this life that you have here. When we die, we go back to something else, but there's a divine purpose for you to learn something about yourself and to achieve your highest good, your highest, let's say, Christ-like potential, which each of us has. But they would have you believe that there's kings and queens and popes and leaders that need to tell you what to think. And most people today go along with one of those groups of leaders. All of those groups of leaders. And I am saying that we can empower ourselves to be our own leader, our own true divine creator of this world.
But what interest does the government have to tell us that the Earth is globe and not flat? I mean,
remember who created the government. The kings and queens lost power. Firstly, the Catholic Church or the Vatican had the power. It lost the power and it gave it to the kings and queens, or rather it gave that power to kings and queens, who then lost that power, who gave us government. So the government is not for the people and by the people. The government is to control the people. The word government means to govern, to control, the mental. Yeah? Government is designed particularly to keep people on the back foot, to keep people under pressure, under stress, punish them, fine them, charge them, make them take on this education about becoming from a monkey to evolution, that everything came out of nothing and there's no reasons for anything. In fact, not only is there no reason for anything, there's more intelligent life out there, there's much more risk and horrible things about to happen, so we need government to protect us from asteroids and from aliens and from foreigners and from a whole lot of things. But in fact, there is only one creation and we should all be working towards our own Eden, our own heaven, our own divine, what's the word I'm looking for? Inheritance that we were meant to take, but that's been stolen from us. So the government is really just a control arm of some other deeper, darker power that's in the back streets. Because if you think about the way that government works today, it's a left wing and it's a right wing, but it's the same bird, it's the same beast, and it will be the same in Germany as it is in England or South Africa, where I've come from, and in Australia, America. You see it the same. It's like, oh, one day Obama will come in, then it'll be Trump, and it's always the same. You know, one guy's going to come in and make things better, but the world is not better. We're more war, more poor, more hardship, more enmity, more division, and that's the purpose of government, is to keep us from ever finding, keep us stressed, so we never find the love that we're meant to find for each other and for ourselves.
I think this is too simplified.
I'm trying to keep it quick and simple because I know you don't have a lot of time.
I go through your thoughts, but I think it's a very simplified view on the world, because things are a little bit more complex. But I did not really understand. Okay, the government, as you say, the government tells us the Earth is a globe and not flat. But what profit do they have from it that we believe this and that?
So firstly, when you're
This is not an answer. I mean, if I believe in the globe or in the flat Earth, it's totally equal. There were a time when the people were completely believing in flat Earth. And there was a long time people were believing this. It's not so that the people were totally free and or what do you want to tell me?
See this beautiful building here? It was built by people who thought the Earth was flat. Definitely. These people who built like we cannot build today, when we say they were dumb, they build better than we do today. So you tell me who's the dumb ones. Nature is the truth, but this man-made idea of coming from a monkey, being insignificant, being kept dumb, being kept under control, that's exactly what those shoots are trying to do. But nature would have us be free. Nature would allow us to have, maybe if there's people say there's a lot more land that's been hidden from us. Maybe there's a lot more resources that have been hidden from us. They want to keep you under control. It's like a story farm. They've gotten rid of the chains and they get lit. Some people earn a good salary. But really, we're all captivated by this system of control.
But this would be very difficult to keep up this light because there were so many people in space. It would be very difficult. I know even a guy who's living in the area where I'm coming from, he's in Germany, and he's just a simple guy. He died recently. His name is what's his name? He's very famous. He was the first man from GDR in space. He died recently. His name is Sigmund Jähn.
Sigmund Jähn.
Sigmund Jähn. And he was the rest of his life, he was quite a simple guy. So, and nobody was very much interested in him. He was still living in this village. These friends of mine know him until he died, and I can't believe that this single guy was a part of a big conspiracy, because in this time GDR was in space, America was in space, but they were enemies to each other. So this would mean there was a
Conspiracy
whole
between the
conspiracy
Yes.
all over the world just to keep hidden that the Earth is actually flat. So this doesn't make actually sense because the sky is not
Okay, a couple of things on that. One, all the people that go to space tend to be parts of secret societies or military, and they've all got to keep secrets.
I know this guy,
You know?
he's just a simple guy. Nobody was really interested in him until he died. And he was so simple, he was living in his village. He was GDR, he was a guy from GDR, he was in space, and he said like,
Would you like one?
yeah,
Do you believe the Cold War was real? Do you believe the Cold War was
I
real?
don't know about it.
No. Well, I don't think the Cold War, I used to think the Cold War was real, but now I think it's about designing enemies so that we frighten East versus West. Just keep people like the East Germans don't like the West Germans, or the Russians don't like the Americans, or the Chinese, and it's about keeping people divided. So that's how they create these wars. But actually in the 1952, they signed an Antarctic Treaty which stops people from going to Antarctica. Russia, America, Germany, Britain, France, all these countries that have been
No,
at war
it's
with
not
each other.
actually, wait. That's another topic. I don't have a satisfying answer why these simple people should lie, you know? I mean, they make pictures, they make footage of space where they film the planet, and you can't tell me that all this is fake. It's all manipulated by a computer program, that it looks like and actually they have a flat. They have a disco. What do you think?
I don't know about it.
Or they never go in space.
Yeah,
You
there's
see
no
them
such
going
thing.
in space.
Do you know about thermodynamics? The second law of thermodynamics requires there to be a fixed barrier between a non-pressure and a pressure system, like a deodorant can, a Coke can. If you pop the can, then you know that if the pressure will equalize immediately. Well, they're telling us that because of gravity, we can have a violent vacuum of space against this high pressure system that we live under. Actually, in reality, it should have been sucked off into space. Now, about the videos from space or Earth, there's no clear videos from space. They went to the moon in 1968, 1969, right? And they took a dune buggy up, they drove around on a buggy, they played golf. They didn't take a video camera and put it up there and go, let's film the Earth for a half an hour and watch her gently turn like this and stuff. They never did that. They've never done that, and they've never shown us the stars behind in space that are going around behind us. We've never seen that. Even to this day, they can't do that right. So no, and here's another thing. They never took the video when they were on the moon with a video camera. They never did this. They never did a 360 pan, and they never do a 360 pan on the ISS when they do a spacewalk. Why? Because it's all inside of a stage. They do the spacewalks in a swimming pool. They do their weightlessness with harnesses or in the Vomit Comet aeroplane. The whole thing is like a Hollywood, Disney kind of staging. Honestly, it's taken me thousands of hours of research to unpick this, but just 5 years ago, I believed in the moon landing. Now I know the entirety of our space program, but between the Americans, the Russians, Yuri Gagarin, all of this. Go and look at this documentary, my friend. Look at this documentary. A funny thing happened on the way to the moon, and you will see NASA footage where they're faking it. You will see NASA evidence that they never got their lunar lander to work on Earth. They never got their lunar lander to work on Earth. And when you see the interview of the three guys who went to the moon first, they look nervous, fidgety, unsure of their answers. The answer doesn't make sense with what his friend is saying. You and I have just won Formula One or been to the moon first. No, these guys are sitting there.
No, I'm not using a steady cam, I'm holding it.
We couldn't see stars, and the other guy said, no, we could see stars. The funny thing happened on the way to the moon. NASA own footage. When you watch this documentary, it's on YouTube. Watch this documentary of the ship. There are questions that I hold on to, but the National Geographic is there to kind of, the BBC, all of these things are there as a monumental tool. So when they say, oh, we've investigated the shadows on the moon and the wind flag, the flag blowing and all this sort of stuff, that's all front top line stuff. We'll start to dig beneath that. I never saw this. I never saw this. There's a documentary called 200 Proofs the Earth is not a ball. 200 Proofs the Earth is not a ball. I think it's in German.
I have a friend
My brother, my family don't like me for saying this, but the truth is that water is level. We know that's the basis of it. When you look into what science have we got that proves that the Earth is spinning, there's sign that's going over my head. That's all we've got. That's not proof enough. When in the 1800s, the best scientists in Europe were doing experiments into the wrong direction. And they were doing these experiments to prove that the Earth was spinning. That's it. And the astronomer royal by the name of George Airy in the 1850s, he did an experiment which is now known as Airy's failure. He said, if I do this experiment, it will prove whether it's the sky that's moving.
Okay, no, it's fine. I don't.
But because if all the governments have lied to us, if they're all in the same bed, if they're all in the same bed, they've stolen our minds and our truth. It means that there is creation. It means that
They have these problems.
pictures kind of might be that some entity, dark entity that has stolen humans to heritage for 400-500 years. Because, as I said, the people who could build magnificent buildings like this or giant pyramids and stuff like that, they knew that. The oldest known computer accepted today is called Astrolabe. And the Astrolabe is 2,000 years old, and it was designed to determine where the stars and the sun would be at various times. And it was based on a flat cosmology. The people who were building pyramids that look exactly the same in South America and in Japan and places like that, how were they talking to each other? And they were sailing around this world on the basis of flat Earth navigation.
There must be actually a place when I go with my ship, I fall down.
Well,
There must be a limit. There must be somewhere border.
well, there must be. One would imagine there's a border. Yeah, one would imagine that there, because we know that a cup of water, if you break the cup, the water will spill. So, and a lake has to be contained, right? So, if I wanted to build a model of the flat Earth, I would say let's choose a big lake, any lake you like, and we'll put some big stones in the middle. Maybe put a magnet in the center of that, red and and then we can sit around that all day long. But if I also said to you, why don't you make me a model of a globe where you've got sea and oceans being pulled up to the underside of a globe? You say, well, I can't do that because I'm not big enough or whatever. Well, okay. So you can't provide a model, and I can provide a flat Earth model. And that's the difference. And here's the thing: if we live on a globe, why aren't the billionaires flying underneath from South America and coming out of Australia or Cape Town and coming out the other side? We've never been right underneath and come out the other side. We go in and we come back out again. We go in and we go sideways and we go out that way.
Wait. When I fly from South America, South Africa down, where do I come out?
Well, you never can go below 70 parallel. So 60 parallel is where you and me can go. 70 parallel with permission. So a plane flying from South Africa to Australia might skirt 70, but it's never going to go down to 90 and then come back 80, 70, 60 and come up. Never. Try and find it. Not forbidden, impossible, because we don't live on a ball. If we did, I'm saying the billionaires, Richard Branson, you know, the richest man in Germany, he'd go, no, I can take a plane or whatever and I can fly. But they say we can go to the moon 50 years ago, but today we don't. It's too harsh conditions to fly in.
And imagine that if you go like this, it's so far that your gasoline doesn't last.
Well, in the 1950s.
Or it would be, I don't know. I never
remember. It's only 24,000 miles circumference. So actually, from Cape Town to Chile or something like that, it's only 6,000 miles. So you can easily fly. Okay. But in the 1950s, early 1950s, the Americans did big 5,000 men ships, battleship type operations down into the Antarctic. And they had a guy called Admiral Berg. He's their most decorated admiral. This is all on this interviews with him. And he's like, well, what we were doing is we were sending out planes and then dropping fuel and then trying to get further and further. And eventually we traveled about 1,200 miles. And I found land bigger than America with resources greater that will keep the world going for many, many years. This is what he says on a TV show called Longines TV show back in the 1950s. And after that, about 3 years later, the whole world signed a treaty that no one's ever broken. Even though we had the Cold War, we're at war, we don't like each other, and yet the Russians aren't out there drilling for oil, taking coal, taking gold, all this stuff. There's many, many questions that are unanswered. You start to unpick the truth about the world.
Where are you from?
I was raised in South Africa, but I was born in England. But I went to war in a country called Angola in 1987, 1984, because I believed in the war. I believed that we had communism in capital. I'll tell you now, as a man, I've written a book about it, that there was no such thing. That these things are designed, like the East and West, West Berlin is the wall, it's designed to keep people fighting with each other, keep people apart. But we never realized that our controllers are, it's sort of religion. All these things, they're designed to control them.
That's very simple.
I mean, obviously we could sit around with a coffee and go into more detail, but yeah, it is actually very possible. And when you find out that religions of Freemasonry is all of most of the students are Freemasons and these essential societies that demand Jewish Freemasonry.
I'm reading now Adolf Hitler's book, he talks a lot about the crown.
I don't believe it.
And he sees the Jews everywhere.
There's only 15 billion Jews.
Yeah, that's what I thought, Adam.
European Union flag has this map. If you're going to check it out, you will see it. So what they are doing, they are messing up with this schedules with the plane.
Every 10 years, the Jews go come the number of Jews.
But they don't go. They go like
Before World War II, there was 50. After World War II,
so there was no Australia own.
They see those work camps. Yes, maybe 20,000 people.
South or north, you make
It's a crime.
yes, some kind of plane.
That's how.
Because you know that the sun is not 93 million miles away.
It's 4 million people died.
Everything around us is made for us.
Now they take 600,000 people died. And when the people try to
You see, like this,
burn
because the sun is closer.
you only go
It's not the
ground up by a thing and turned because the skeleton is still intact after and they have to grind the skeleton up. They didn't
So
have to
the light is not going like they say, I don't know how many hundreds of no, like a lamp. It's one range. It's
by this
one range. So one range, and then circles. This is
and I'm not saying the Jewish
and then it goes a little inside. In the winter, and in the summer, and in the winter, a little out.
makes them think that they are special.
That's it, how it works. With the moon together, because we see in our views that the
If you're looking at forest, you should see this tree over there.
we measure it at the same size. And they tell, no, it's so far away, and this is so close that they meant.
You want to take a look?
Possibility for that is one for one
There's
person,
some
20,000
great resources
years, and they say that we can probably it doesn't work. Not for people. This is all created for us. Otherwise, we must we will find this. So just check it out for yourself to find out. Yeah, no problem.
I'm extremely enthusiastic. Why? Because it means that we are the most important thing on earth, and our governments, our religions, and all that want to steal that truth from us. Not fake, but and I think that most people who work in the press
Would you like
really
one?
believe what they believe. Just like most people who pronounce a certain religion, you know, a priest of a religion, he believes it, right? You don't believe his religion, but he does. Someone who's telling you a story about, someone falls over and hurts himself, and I write a story about that. Yeah, that's true. But is it possible to put disinformation in? Is it possible to mislead people like they did in Germany, for example?
No, Sven hasn't arrived.
We see it all the time, and in every
Nora.
in every so the media is designed as a tool for and I think it's like
No, I think they explained that in last night's hangout, but I wasn't in that hangout, so maybe you can watch that.
you won't get published. You won't get funding. If you come out and say vaccines are bad or medicines are causing harm, you'll be shut down. The medical board will say no more soldiers. Oh? Hello. I'm from Germany.
Check it out, yeah.
Okay. My wife, I lived in Seapoint. That's it. And you're on holiday or you live there? Ah, lekker. Were you in the army? Me too. I wrote a book about being in Angola. I really believe in 3 years of national service. What were you? Oh, okay.
Over here.
I was like a crew commander on a 90mm rifle.
Photoshop, man. Fuck off. You know, the man who invented the Hubble, his surname, Lyman.
This is true.
His surname is Lyman. Lyman. So hard. We are very, very blind. We don't see it.
I bad feelings about it.
That's fucking crazy. It's hard to swallow.
We live on a
When you swallow it,
we should be able to
it's
measure
just
8 inches per
open.
mile square.
You're going to feel better and better each day. We don't want to do all the way far by these sides. We connected the people again to unite.
So it turns out that our science has been misconstrued, but we believe absolutely in gravity. Well, once we unpick the idea that we need to change it out,
For lies, for the Photoshop, for the hiding the sun, the creator, everything.
Highline Vest and everybody else.
It's fucking sick because they are
I was actually in Joburg when I was sick side gave me something. What's that?
we don't really need one.
Pioneer again, right? Well, I haven't heard about any of this stuff, but I took
500 years.
500 years. After that, I found out.
Now we gonna do this.
After many months of research,
All different stuff.
I got to the point where I was like, shit, if they had the power to
Thanks, Karen.
You know, you feel if you do something right, you feel it.
Yeah, I've got a few more songs I'd like to record as well,
That's how we all feel.
but I'll get there eventually.
Right we are. And happy and lovely because love is there.
But now I realize
Love and unite the people is there. No matter if you're black, white, China, I don't know. We are all the same. We are people here. But I have been the people don't have a picture in 2019.
Thanks, Nicholas.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a flat smack Glastonbury when we get back.
Find our way out of the mud. Did you ever see Shawshank Redemption? The story of Shawshank Redemption. Why I realised I love television so much.
They think that you already know everything because they're alternative, but
They
I
lied and puts him in prison.
think they're missing out certain
He has to
things.
fight his way. He cannot change the system. He has to fight his way out and drag it through the shit. Check it out.
It's hard, but it's true.
Yeah, that would be great. No one's
Based on
found.
love. Spreading
Nora.
the love and the truth.
I was just saying to someone a moment ago, this building now, like
Yeah, it's so much love.
you are the best.
Thank you. Bye bye. You are sure that you are on the globe? All right. As you want, as you wish. Your choice. I will just run to the van. Did I see is everything all right?
Yeah.
With Andrea and
Yeah.
the parking spot.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, I was sleeping last night. I was exhausted. So I slept completely the whole way through the hangout. But I've got lots of ideas for parody songs I could do, Flat Earth songs. And some of them I've worked on and I've got lyrics for already. I've got all kinds of ideas. I've got drafts of Flat Earth raps that I've made from my poetry that I've kind of recorded but not professionally. Yeah, I will do. I just need, like, some of them I've already got backing tracks for, some of them are free tracks, some of them I need to make the backing track or make a version of it that's like hasn't got a license issue. Yeah, I know.
Then you go back to it. And I think possibly, if you go back to that demo, then you can shift the vibration, higher vibration. I hope that's I don't know that.
Well, there's one song I've got lyrics for. And it's a piss take of a song from a boy band that uses NASA as a video feature. So I changed the lyrics around, and I've seen other people, like females, do covers of this song, and it's called Drag Me Down. So if you search Drag Me Down by One Direction, I think it is, it's a really kind of cheesy boy song, but I changed the lyrics around, and if you see the video you'll see why I did a parody of that.
Number of people realize raise their vibration. That's that I'm not fine. I live a much more life. But I'm not saying I'm not saying it's about being a purist, but at the same time it's also about the temple.
But the funny thing about the end of the video, there's this kind of line at the very last clip of the video in the One Direction song, and it shows that the Earth is flat. And yet they're promoting NASA.
It was published by a battle on the Lombard, which is a river in about 300-mile cave in Munich. And we had a series of battles essentially to lead to the stalemate that happens at
Yeah, that's why I can't have so many conversations, because I either like focus on the camera or have conversations and hand out leaflets. I hand out a few leaflets as well, but
having been involved in the levels, why we allow now, in my mind,
no, we didn't have any hassles today. When we set up, there was a police car right opposite us, in the middle, like literally here, and they didn't say a word to us. They just drove off. So, hi Jude.
picked up my story and he's wanted to interview some of the guys from my squadron. another book called Rattles on the Lomba. And so there have been other books that have come out since then that talk about that chapter was not in the book. Not that I'm aggrandizing, I'm just saying that it made no sense to us. We guys said that on the 3rd of October, and then we were made to take 5 days off. We were like, what are we looking for? Why aren't we pressing on our advantage? There's 3 other brigades right there in the theatre around the Lomba River. Why aren't we going off? And then, of course, they pulled up this thing. The tanks came and joined us a little while later, but we never saw that level of offensive go on after that. And I think that we were told, hey, you have to slow down. You don't want
We
that.
decide your fate. We decide your fate.
No, and I mean, you know how the 90 or whatever, just they go, right, we're giving up on the bomb. So that the ANC somehow came to come. Really, they had a and that's how it is. That's why a guy like Mugabe can get away with it. It fits the meta narrative. Our feet, we'll sell you chemical weapons this day, and then the next day when it doesn't suit our narrative, we'll take you off the ball. So the entirety of our reality is controlled, absolutely, from birth, cradle to grave. And it's all designed to perhaps extract energy. In my deeper thinking around conversation around the campfire, I tell people that I think we are in some sort of electromagnetic torus, and that each of us are a minuscule atom, like an electromagnetic torus, going around in this world. When you realize that, you think, are they extrapolating energy?
I focused on the buildings a bit more at the beginning of the video.
Positive energy that is
If you look back on that afterwards.
whatever, to do something more. I don't know. This is obviously just ideas and thoughts to grist for the mill.
Anyone else been in? Yes, sir.
Dave
Want a
Madden
leaflet?
It's really good out. Got
Do you like leaflet?
Did he go and check on the van?
Yeah.
Did I go and check? Okay.
Yeah.
Ja, is flash. Hey bro, Earth is flat, man. Speak English? Earth is flat. You need to look at this. Earth is not a ball. No ball. No globo. Earth is flat. Water is flat. Agua. Really?
Kalt, regnerisch.
Yeah. NASA is making space. NASA is all nonsense. Yeah, everything is level. Everything is level. Where are you from?
Iran.
Iran. Oh, okay. Well, nice to meet you. Nima. Nice to meet you. From Iran. You on a holiday or you working?
Yeah, good idea, Zoom Truth. If somebody can meet us, that would be
Iran
great.
is a lovely country, actually. Yeah. I think Iran is a great place. But you must look into this because all the governments, Iran, America, Russia, they're all in the same bed. Sure, they like to make you think it's not like this. No way, they are all in the same bed. They all want to keep your mind. They want to steal your mind. All right. Take care, brother. Cool. Earth is flat.
Where was he from?
Iran.
I thought somebody said they're from Iran in the chat.
Oh, right. Damn, we should have collared him.
But unfortunately, we haven't got the translations, have we?
No. We don't have our German here. Where is Sven? Hey, my friend. Come have a conversation. You speak English? Okay, have you looked at this before? The flat Earth theory, have you heard
This
that?
is flat earth theory.
Yeah.
I've seen first somebody alive who is doing that.
Really? First time?
First
My
time.
name is Dave.
Better, nice to meet
I've
you.
been looking at this for 4 years. 4 or 5 years ago, I used to believe in the moon landings, and then I saw a documentary. A funny thing happened on the way to the moon. They faked the moon. There's no way we went to the moon. So then I found out that there's a formula for the curvature of water. If you live on a ball, right, and the ball is 70% water, the water must be bending around that ball. So if we take the formula, because they say, oh, you're too small to see it. But if you take the formula, you realize that it's 8 inches in the mile squared, which means by 10 miles, it's 60 foot. And by 100 miles, it's over 2,000, 3,000 feet curvature. And we cannot measure that. We can shoot, the Americans shoot a rail gun,
It's
100
information
miles
about where we live.
straight, line of sight with a laser.
What is this?
No water is level.
If you look
Sea
at the
is
website
level.
here, FE
That's
Star,
why we say sea level in English. I assume there's a similar phrase.
it's about the shape of the earth.
But we say sea level because the sea is always level.
I have one question for you.
Please.
Maybe you will answer. I saw, I know the constellations of the stars.
Yes.
And I was watching the Orion, yes. And when I was in Namibia in Africa, it looked upside down. Why is that?
Okay. I've been to, I think, a year in Namibia, okay? And in Angola too. Yeah, okay. I was in a war there in 1987. But that's the thing. So if I took a picture of your face, yeah, and I put it up in the sky.
Yeah, I've got another idea, Nora. And I kind of started playing around with lyrics, although actually I've still got to tweak them a bit. It's not really finished. But
That way, and then you will see that way. Does that make sense to you? So if we live on a small Earth where the lights are going,
but I'm still considering it.
and I've got a constellation that looks like this. When you look, my friend's standing in the northern hemisphere. I'm at the equator. Yeah, okay. My friend in the northern hemisphere will see it. Those three fingers first. That finger first. But in Namibia, that finger first. Get it? And that's how it works. And that's why they try and trick you. So, that's why, because you're on a ball. But if you lived on a ball that was an explosion, Big Bang explosion, how is it possible that those three stars for thousands of years have stayed in exactly the same position? And if you come back in like a year's time, oh, they're in exactly the same position in a year's time. Impossible if we're spinning around the Earth, around the world. They say Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. 66,000 miles an hour around the sun. The sun is traveling through the galaxy at 660,000 miles, and the galaxy is moving through the universe over 1 million miles an hour. And all the other stars are moving in their own random directions, and yet these three stars have been there for thousands of years. All the constellations
out
have
all
held the same
We don't
position.
know.
This is the guy who made it.
2,000 years.
This is the guy. He.
In the astrolabe, we can
Oh
because
my God.
the pyramids
Elon Musk,
were
the
lined up
scum
with
of
the
Elon
stars.
Musk.
And
He's
they are
right
found
beside
at
the
least
NASA. He's
20
lying to
years
you.
ago. Maybe I'm
Yeah, sure, yeah.
counting.
You think that
So,
he
they
was,
lined him up with those stars.
with his car in the
All the way
space.
then. And there's a
Yeah,
computer
yes,
called the
right.
astrolabe. It's a 2,000-year-old device.
Yeah, it was in studio.
Big
You know what
wheels,
happens
and they
with the
all put it
balloon?
on a flat Earth.
Okay, thank you, brother. I need
You
to
blow
go.
the balloon with that, okay? And you give it to the vacuum chamber. What will happen? Will balloon explode or
See it
shrink?
shift in the I see the bottom, the last bit, like I see the top, and then it goes down.
What?
First curvature because if it goes up curvature,
The air want to go out.
see the top first.
Yeah. So with those tires,
So,
with
see
those
the spire here
auto,
on this
not
building?
Yeah, if I
possible.
go like back then, I'm gonna see this.
Car, Tesla's car,
I'm
it
not
goes
gonna see the bottom.
in the space. Tesla's car, you can see by picture that shows to you how fucking fake it
Well,
is.
you could do the
He
same
says
thing on,
himself.
let's just say,
It's so,
let's just say we were at a place that was,
Tire has air.
let's say we were a place that was very flat.
So everything will
And I went away
explode, man.
10 miles. I put this building away 10 miles. I know that I would only
But
see
they
the
don't
top
didn't
first.
tell
That's
you.
why when they make a lighthouse, they put the light at the top. Because you see the highest thing, you see longest. The slowest thing, you see least amount of time.
Pictures all the galaxies, all the universe.
There's a word called angular resolution, meaning that the lower you get like this, then the less far you can see. So if you and me, we put our heads on the floor, when we look at those people off in the distance, actually we can't see their feet anymore, even though this is flat.
But that would mean that the ship drives upwards because we are not moving downwards. But that's not. So your explanation is that it's not flat, it's like a outer curve thing. But then her explanation with the ship by we only can see the top simplifies that we are getting lower than the ship. So the ship must go upwards or we must go downwards. In your explanation.
Okay, maybe I didn't explain it. But think about it like
the cables. Also, they have a lot of
going down. Okay, it's leading. Let's say we're in port A here, and over there is port B. Okay. in the distance is Port B. It's 100 miles away. So it leaves us, and it goes down.
Like this. Okay?
Yeah? From A to B.
But it would go down because there's
Millions of
So when it gets to point B, on the other side, yeah, it's gone down to point B. When the ship comes back to point A, is it going to come up?
For our perspective, it's going up, and for our perspective, it's going
In reality, you're saying that the water's curving down. From A to B is going down. So when it gets to B and comes back to A, is it going up? And I know that when you get to port B and you turn around and you go back the other way, you say, oh, it's going to go down to A. But that's impossible. That's a logical fallacy. Because it can't be down there, and then when it gets there, it's going to go down again. No. What you're seeing is perspective. It makes it seem like it's going down. But when we take that ship has gone away, go on YouTube and look in, type in P900 camera. People go the powerful 80 times zoom. They see the ship, it goes down, then they pull up the zoom camera, and they can see the whole ship, top and bottom. The other thing that gets in the way of the ship is that as you get closer to the water, the air becomes more and more dense with water. So the air becomes heavier and heavier, thicker and thicker, which means that the more it's thick, the less far you can see. So that's partly why we use the bottom of the ship first. But really it's about perspective. The higher you go, so let's say ship leaves port A, yeah, and you and I, we jump in a hot air balloon and we go up to 300 meters. All of a sudden we can see the whole ship again.
in 1 year. Come on, man. You have copy paste
Because of
the
our
crowd
perspective,
a lot of them.
if you go to the top of this building, you can see all of Munich. Yes? That's because your perspective is now increasing. You can see it doesn't mean that this is not all. This could be the flattest city in the world. You can go to Utah and exactly the same rules apply. So when you travel to the mountainous zones in Switzerland, you will see the tops of the mountains first, and then as you get closer, you get to see lower and lower and lower into the foothills. That's just the nature of it.
Then that would be the nature of a curve situation. Because when I'm behind the curve, I see the top first, and then when I go higher to the curve, I see
Let's say that's true. If that's true, then we should be able to measure the curvature from my port A to port B.
wrong that they included the brown because they could
In Old Rome?
yeah.
Are you religious? Oh, so the Vatican, yeah, who gave us religion?
No, I mean like seasons. I think even earlier, maybe like philosophers like knew it, but religion said it's bad thing.
Well, let me give you this. I don't believe in religion. I think religion is a form of control. But I think that when religion was using its control, they came up with other means of controlling the human species. And for them, the Vatican gave us the Big Bang Theory, the Vatican gave us the globe. They tell you that they didn't. But if this is true, then you've got to question all of your history, right? So let me get back to this question. Port A, Port B. If this is a curve ball, we live on a marble, a blue marble as they call it, then I should be able to measure 100 miles, how much is it going to curve? Can you tell me, 10 miles, 100 miles, how much it's going to curve? Okay.
Yeah, you are on the big
You guys are obviously very
I'm on the
None of us are ever taught. No, but none of us are ever. But if you live on a boat, how much curving is there, and how much should I be able to measure?
It depends on the length of the wave, on the entire size. Like when I can't, when I have a small ball, I can see the curve. Exactly, I can see the entire ball. When I can't even see a little bit of the ball, just like
no one, not even one through.
Well, this lady here, this young lady told me that she can see go to the beach
theory
and
is,
see a ship go over the edge.
look,
You're both arguing the same point.
you come along,
That's the horizon. Yeah? So if we can see it at 3 or 4 miles, because that's what Wikipedia will tell you, that you can the ship will go over the horizon at 3 or 4 miles. Then we should be able to measure at 3 or 4 miles. We should say if your boat is 2 meters tall, 3 or 4 miles, it's gone. If your boat is 5 meters tall, 6 miles, it's gone. Yeah, there should be a formula to say how much curvature. Now there is a formula, and this is what stopped me. I'm for one. I was 46 years old, I believed none of this stuff. Then I came across the formula for the curvature of Earth. If you live on a ball, they say 8 inches miles squared. 8 inches miles squared. First mile, 8 inches. Second mile is 2 times 2 miles squared times 8, 32 inches. 10th mile is 10 times 10 times 8, 800 inches. By the time you get to 100-mile harbour, you're talking about half a kilometre of curvature. Now, I can speak in kilometers. My metric, I can do metric, that's my first language is metric. I've taught metric. But I don't, I mean, 8 inches in a mile squared is about, I think, what is 8 inches in the mile squared? I think it's about 12 centimeters per kilometer squared. Something like that. Maybe more like 15 meters. Because 8 inches is 24 centimeters, something like that. But it's the mile squared that is the problem, because it's exponentially, as it leaves you, it's getting steeper and steeper, because the Earth is 24,900 miles in circumference. We have to have, after you travel 6,000 miles, you've got to have one from the 90 to the 0, or to the 270, or from 0 to 90, 6,000 miles.
Great, Noah. I look forward to doing that.
In a flight from Europe to South Africa, where I'm from, you're going to have that amount of curvature on the plane is flying level.
I'm sure I can think of plenty of others as well. I'll have to go through them and message you them.
We think we see it with a ship. On a clear day, you will see a ship further. On a rainy day, you will see a ship less far. Powerful zoom telescope, you see it further. Go up higher, you'll see it further. This is all about angular resolution, your eyes' potential, and the perspective of the viewer.
Yeah, we can argue. We can. I can.
The other picture was my friend.
And it's a very old thing with the ship going by. I think it's from Galileo. Yeah. And it's a thing of perspective. I agree on that. But it's still no proof for me that the Earth is flat. Because
3 million miles away.
No, it's okay, but because you say we lose line of sight in the end. That's it. Because it's flat, we can't limit that far. Yeah, okay. So, but that isn't to say that it's flat. I mean, the curvature could be just that large that we lose vision before we see the ship entering the curvature. So it's a good argument, but I think it's not the proof that the other thing is wrong. It's just another...
I am not a scientist, but we try to explain.
Okay, if you watch that, we watch that, it'll give you loads of other ones to go. See, I hadn't thought about this,
A lot.
but let's just accept philosophy.
Bye-bye, take care now, bye-bye then. Take care now, bye-bye then.
Measure this curvature. We have to then accept that there is a thing called gravity, right? Now, gravity is an interesting conundrum. Because if you live on a ball and gravity is pulling equally to the center mass here, this is what we're taught, is it pulling on the oceans that are on the top the same as it is on the oceans that are on the bottom? My ship, when it's on the top, doesn't need as much help to stay on the ball as it does when it's underneath. Because when it's underneath, it's like all the
That's
forces
water pressure. That's no pressure. See, water is a vacuum, so there's no air. So there can't be any gravity. Yeah, because it's not a vacuum, but you know, underwater there's no air. So there is no pressure. There's water pressure. It's different type. It's a thing that lifts you up.
Oh yeah, but that makes you buoyant. Yeah, so if you go under, you push a ball under, it makes it buoyant, and it makes it push it back up again. But what we can do, I can take a cup or a pool and give you that. You know, we can do physically, we can do that experiment. But if I turn the cup upside down, then the water's naturally going to want to fall out. And if we live on a ball, because we can't get water to stick to a ball in a science lab, we can't get it to stick to the outside of the shape. The water will stay in there, no problem. But if I try and get water to stay underneath your cup, no, it's going to fall off. But they say, no, gravity
Yeah.
Gravity is creating that kind of thing. And so I'm saying, just as a mental exercise, essentially. So gravity is less strong on the top than it is on the bottom because it needs a lot more force to pull that water up.
Yeah, but gravity doesn't work in space. So there's no gravity pulling, there's no gravity that drops the water down from Earth. There's nothing that pulls it down. So there's just this gravity holding the Earth together, which is another proof that the Earth is wall. When you press something, it can't be flat. If you press it like this, but space is all around, so you must press from all sides.
Now I'm glad you brought because space defies the second law of thermodynamics. The second law of thermodynamics requires to get the fixed barrier between a high pressure and so like with the open canal, it needs to be contained. The moment you break that containment, equalization of pressure, pierce the open canal. So that's the same with our atmosphere. We say that if we were if there was a thing called outer space and it was a violent, dark, non-pressure system, vacuum, it would naturally pull everything off. But again, this whole gravity is just doing...
No, that's not gravity. The universe is pulling everything, pressuring everything together. It's expanding in itself, and it's a space, that in itself has pressure. So now when the bigger masses, it depends on the mass, big mass, now when bigger masses are there, you're getting more pressure. Like when you're underwater. If you have a submarine or something, the deeper it gets, the more pressure it takes because of its mass.
Other stuff you saying about the vacuum, pressure, we can't actually. They are around. And when you live to space, let me give you some information you probably haven't heard about. NASA have never put a spacesuit with a man in a vacuum chamber. NASA have never done a 360-degree pan like this in space. They've never taken a camera and gone around like this. When they went to the moon 50 years ago, and they say they can't go back to that, but they went 50 years ago, they never bothered to take a movie camera and film the Earth turning in space. They took a dune buggy and they drove around and played golf and all those things, but they didn't have space for a moving camera to point at the Earth and say this.
Years ago, the movie cameras were extremely expensive and like this big.
But they took a Jeep.
Oh, okay.
They took a Jeep. They take a Jeep. You can't take a camera. They spent $30 billion in that money. You think they couldn't afford a camera? They could do anything. And if they could take a camera there then, or if they could take a dune buggy there then, why don't they take a camera now, a 4K camera, plant it on the moon and stream, because they could phone, the president phoned the moon in 1968, 1969. He phoned the moon from a landline, but they can't put a 4K camera out there and stream it in real time. They could send a probe. They can send a probe out onto like a land on an asteroid or something like that, but they can't send a camera, place it on our moon, which is only 250,000 miles away, and film us turning in space. We don't have any footage like that. NASA admit themselves that their images of the Earth from space are CGI. They're computer-generated images. They're on record saying
they need to be. Look at the. That's a hard, let's say. Make it very simple. But what every camera does, or every digital camera does, is even your phone. When you zoom in, when you lose the zoom of your normal telescope, it digitalizes that what you see. So that is basically what cameras like
You know, like a Hubble camera, they say that they can film nebulas and stuff like that are trillions of miles away, and yet they can't turn the camera around and just film. I mean, you guys have got great answers, but really these are just like excuses on behalf of our beliefs. You know, if you were into a religion and I was telling you that, say, Islam, Christianity is wrong, you'd have all the reasons why your religion is right. And that's what people do. They believe in a certain thing. We're taught a certain thing, and then we, through the NASA, through Hollywood and stuff like that, we're given all these ideas about how it could possibly be that we could be around in space and so on. But when you look into the ISS, we find that none of it stands up to scrutiny. We never see them building it on Earth. All of a sudden, they've got this thing up in space. It's never gone wrong. When they do spacewalks, they never do it. And we find bubbles leaving their helmets. In fact, one NASA astronaut nearly drowned 2 years ago, and they had to start. Anyway, you start. People have picked up reflections of scuba divers while they're doing spacewalks, and we know they do their testing in Dallas, in Texas. They do the testing in a big swimming pool, right? Now the astronaut spacesuit looks identical in a 2-bar pressure, 3-bar pressure in the pool as it does in space. Now the pressure, as you said yourself, is pushing inward underwater, but in a vacuum it's pulling outward. Why is it the same spacesuit looks exactly the same?
Vacuum doesn't do anything. I never said it.
The vacuum does. Go and look at the vacuum. We're doing loads of experiments. Vacuum experiments. We put a spacesuit or model spacesuit in a vacuum. It pops. We put rocket fuel in a vacuum. We can't get it to
I don't have enough facts. I don't know.
Yeah, no. Honestly, my brother.
Vacuum.
No gas.
There's nothing. So
Yeah.
that was my fault. Yeah. But
No, well, you see what happens when you put something into a vacuum. If you put a sealed thing, it's going to do whoop like this. It's the opposite of the pressure of going underwater. So, no, I honestly, there's so many things that we watch this documentary. 200 proofs Earth is not a ball. Or the one that says that's a funny thing happened on the way to the moon. Watch these documentaries, and when you realize that while I'm here to take my time, I get paid to do this. I'm here trying to free humanity's mind from enslavement. Religious enslavement.
like the Christian. That's the thing you said before with religion. It's a funny thing where you can actually end every argument and say it's like a religion. And that's what you I don't want to offend you.
No, not at all.
Just what you said, we believe in this. We don't
I try not to believe in things. I know for sure that water is level.
Yeah, but if you
sure.
ask a Christian, he knows for sure that God made it.
But he can't prove those things.
You know, you can one sea level to all the water. The sea level will change from this point to this point.
May not be tall, but you cannot prove that it's flat. That's the thing. Your water theory.
Do you know the Suez Canal? You heard of the Suez Canal? It's up to 120 miles. It's not it's an engineering matter of fact. And the longest bridge in the world
The ball and the water will stick to it. Keep the
That
something that you believe that you are on
means that the water has the same height all the time, right?
Not at the bottom. I mean, the bottom could be different. That doesn't matter. Like a swimming pool, the top of an Olympic swimming pool is level. It might be at the bottom, it might be like this.
But it's still no proof that the earth is flat, because even on a ball, when I drop water on it, the water goes around and it's level. It's always level.
That's not level. Because I can measure that roundness. I can measure the water.
nothing else.
But with the same amount of water.
Heavier.
Well, we're back to this again, and I was saying, this is why we say let's try and measure. Let's try and measure. If we live on a ball, it must be measurable curvature. And science says it's 8 inches per mile squared. Yeah? So it's that you've got to get in your head, is that there is a formula for the curvature. You just never got taught it in school. Because when you start to think about that for a bit, really, okay, really? Just over water? The formula for curvature.
Yeah, like how the old people 2,000 years ago measured it with some
We all taught that all people used to do that. Before you're 10, they teach you that people who were dumb, the people who built this, who were dumb, yeah, they didn't know much, but they could build this. They thought the Earth was flat. We can't build like this. We can't build like this. No, we can't. No, we can't. No, my friends. We don't want to waste money on it. But people who were so simple, they had the ability to do that. We're meant to be the height of civilization, the height of doing whatever we want. We can go to the moon and all that. But we don't build like that because of what we achieve. We don't have the capacity. We build these. No, we build these horrible grand blocks.
I think that's a whole different thing. No, I don't mean that.
Sorry, man. Sorry. Yeah, take care now. Bye then.
The old style of paint, that like not like American art. It's like usually present and everybody can see. But today it's more like you see a square on a painting. It's
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's a completely different. It's nothing about. No.
Are you guys together?
No. She's just taking. Yeah, she's just taking my words
I'm so sorry.
and spins them around.
No, I'm telling you, I used to say exactly the same thing. So we don't care to build like this anymore. But I think that
It's nothing
people
about
who build the pyramids, we can't build the pyramids. We don't know how they get that. We don't know how they get like that size. But they started the project.
That's it.
How do you
I
think
give you the basics and
block all the way up to the top? There's scaffolding, there's no power tools.
This is time.
You got
Time and
no, I'm not.
things we can't do today.
You're right.
And especially these horrible looking buildings are here just like fast, with cheap materials, and they have a better usage. They can be used better with the heat, better with cold, summer. This building is something else. But anyway, we moved away from flat Earth.
Yeah, but it's all connected really, because the truth is that they are hiding our history. The true history that we have is hidden from us.
I think there's always something hidden, or maybe something not, probably not right, mediated, brought into our time the right way. But I'm sorry, I'm not making
No, that's okay. Like I said, she's a deal. We are trying to do what we want to call science experiment. It's like a testable science. And they tried in there.
Right in the middle. In the top is 500. Okay?
So we, most years, 1,100 years, certainly before NASA,
Here
most
at the
people
top
were
is about 450 big countries. Yeah? Okay.
Yes, once you start here, NASA might
Something way less.
maybe I need to review what it is about.
Why?
And as I say,
Why?
everything, like the steam in your shower, sits in like a layer. The gases, helium, hydrogen, all of them.
I tell you, look about
When you go on a plane, you see the clouds and
your
like
view of the
as
globe.
far as I can see.
Not talking about
So everything actually works a lot better in physics in lead, oil,
that's the old argument you don't want to hear.
how it works.
Just so loud. These square meters.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know this argument.
Week or I don't know what.
Science tells
It's
us.
magic. There are.
What I mean. You're slower, you will be more
That's
down.
not gives you a formula. You go to AutoCAD, you plug in the dimensions of the Earth. That's the formula. You give me the first 1,000 miles. As we said earlier on, you're starting at the top and going to the equator, and you've got to go 6,000 miles around and 4,000 miles down. You should be able to get down. So people have been taking lasers and firing as far as we can. 14 miles is about as far as people can
If you stay here,
and they can see the laser from one beach to another. The American military have a laser, they can shoot 100 miles, they can shoot at a target 100 miles away. So it's line of sight. And then there's a guy on YouTube who's got
Do you think you could hold this?
and he's got...
Do you think you could hold it while I get some food?
Yeah. There's a guy on YouTube, he's got a camera, laser infrared camera, 500 miles he can fire, take a shot of things. And the world record photo over water is 300 miles. And if it's 250 miles, sorry, and if it's that distance, there should be 3 miles of curvature according to the mainstream formula. So no, we can't measure any curvature and we can't see it. But the excuse we were given when we were children was that you're too small, too insignificant, and therefore you'll never be able to see this. And I never bothered until I found the formula.
Actually sounds like this. Yeah, okay. But I think this argument isn't going somewhere because again,
It's not an argument, my brother. It's just me trying to spread some truth, and I know that for me, gravity is a religion. That's a belief because it's a theory, and upon that theory are built a whole lot of other theories like relativity. Have you heard of Nikola Tesla? Nikola Tesla, not the car and not Elon Musk. He's a con man.
I know.
But Nikola Tesla said that modern scientists like Einstein are getting so carried away with formula and maths that they no longer bear any relation to reality. I've not got a quote that says he said the Earth is flat, but as far as I'm sure, he knows that the Earth is an electromagnetic system, that we live inside of an ether, and that ether has been banished by modern science because it doesn't suit their narrative. Because the ether is turning. This thing that we're in is turning very, very slowly. It's turning. The stuff above us is turning, but the ground, not turning. And when you were 5, 10 years, 8 years old, and the teacher said to you, "Oh, Earth is spinning," you're just too small to know it.
On the ground, okay. But when you're on the ground, you can't feel that the ground is turning.
Of course.
No, you can't.
Yes.
You can't.
No, we can't. Of course, we can't feel the ground turning.
Yeah.
We feel like we're not moving, right?
But even if it's moving, we can't feel it.
Yes. Well, this is the problem, isn't it? It's like we're told when we're too young, when we believe in Santa Claus, right? We're also told that the Earth is spinning, you just can't feel it. Doesn't matter where you
Nobody
go.
told me that, but just.
No one told you that?
But that's just logic. Like when I'm on a thing that's turning in itself,
Yes.
and
Like a plane or...
yeah. And not like a plane. Like on a plane, I would feel it.
Exactly.
But
Even a little bit. Even when he turns a little bit.
yeah, I feel it.
Yeah. Even when he starts to descend, and when you're flying, he's got his nose up at 1.5 degrees, and when he wants to descend, he drops it down to 0.5 degree. Just that. You go, ooh, I felt that, and we're starting to go down. We are very sensitive beings, but when your teacher tells you you can't feel anything, but you really are, it starts to rob you of your true senses.
No, but the thing is, when this is the Earth, you're here,
Yes.
and the thing is turning with you.
Yeah.
You can't feel this turn.
Okay.
Because you always see everything is turning with you. So you always have the same view of like when you look in the stars
Yeah.
or something, you always have the same view and turn
Okay.
and turn and
Okay.
turn. Doesn't matter because
Okay.
you always.
All right. Let's just take that example of you turning like that. Have you ever stopped to think that if you are turning like that, how is it that these stars that are a trillion miles away from you are able to turn in line with you? How fast would they have to be turning to stay in your eyesight?
They are. Like they
This-
change
they're
from time
not,
to time. That's why stars are.
Like when you have
zodiac
closer
signs exist.
planets, you can only see them in Eve or in the morning.
Yeah.
Like Mars or something.
Okay.
You can see it on the horizon, but if you're turning, you can't see it. In the middle of the night, you can't see Mars or Venus.
Well,
And then later again.
Well, we can explain that with that we can't necessarily see very far away. So just like we say the sun is not actually going down on a flat Earth model, it's not possibly going down. It might simply be getting away from us. And in the same way as the ship eventually goes over the horizon.
So you're saying that the planets are moving away, get closer, moving away, like a breathing system?
No, I'm trying to say that there's a thing called parallax. And parallax demands that as you move, things are going to either stay with you if they're moving in the same speed as you, or they're going to change relative to each other. Now, these stars, for example, in the constellations, like Scorpio's claws or all these others, right? They've stayed in exactly the same position for thousands of years. This is a recorded matter of fact. And yet, if they're all millions and billions of miles away and all moving in different directions out of a big bang, then their parallax should mean, and our spinning around, should mean that they're no longer in that perfect alignment. The pyramids were built with, I think, the Orion's belt aligned to them, and they still align to them today. If it's true that all these things are spinning and moving and wobbling and doing all these different movements like the Earth is, then they should not be lined up anymore, even after a few hours, let alone a few thousand years. So this is why we say perhaps the stars are actually in some kind of fixed, not the wandering stars, the planets. That's another conversation. But the constellations are in some kind of fixed roof arrangement, and that roof moves around, and it has a 26,000 year cycle. So yes, you can't always see all of the stars at the same time, or if you go to southern hemisphere, you might not see some of the stars that you could see in the northern hemisphere, because our line of sight to these small lights, which is all they seem to be in the sky, is that it's kind of limited. We might only be able to see them for 100, 500 miles, something like that. As they get closer to you, you see them rising, and as they go away from you, you see them setting. Just like a jumbo jet flying at 40,000 feet, when it approaches you, it seems to be rising, and as it leaves your perspective, it seems to be setting, but it's still cruising at the same altitude, right? We understand these things, and the same is applying, I think, with the stuff in the sky. Now, if you look on YouTube at the stars through a P900 camera, you see that there are actually just these, so when I say stars, I mean the planets, Mercury, Mars, and so on. You look at them, they look like they're just the most beautiful light show. What NASA have given us and Hollywood Disney has given us is these globes, these rocks, and so on. But rocks don't float in space, and these are actually just lights in the sky that are there. They have an energy, just like the moon is a light that's an energy, and it has a big bearing on the lady. And these planets or wandering stars have an effect on the energy on Earth. Something to think about Mercury, right? Mercury is the one that's closest to the sun. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. So when you and I are looking at Mercury today, or let me put it like this. Let's say this building over here is the sun, and we are standing on the Earth. Yeah? This is the sun, this big building here, and Mercury is that little statue over there, over here with this water statue, right? Now, how is it possible that I can see Mercury if I'm looking at it with the sun in my eyes? You can't see Mercury in the daytime, right? You can't see Mercury in the daytime. We can't see any of the stars in the daytime. Would you agree with me?
Yeah.
So when it's nighttime, I have to have my back to the sun for it to be nighttime. Would you agree? For me to have nighttime, I've got to be facing away from that big building, because that big building is the sun.
I understand where
now I'm
you're
facing
going
away
with
from
it.
it.
But
Mercury is inside of
I
me.
understand where you're going.
So how am I ever going to see Mercury?
There's not only the turn of the Earth.
Yep.
The Earth turns with all the
Yes.
planets in the
Yes.
system.
Yes.
So they're always going with us
Yes.
while we are turning away.
Yeah.
So you can be with your
So
back.
I'm going to go around the sun. Remember, I'm on a 365-day
You go
journey around this building. Yes. Yes.
Same as this
Yes.
planet
Yes.
is the
Yes. Now Mercury is going to go around the building just like me,
Yep.
but it's always going to stay inside of me on the inside track. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes. Now my nighttime is always going to be like I'm facing now. It's always going to be me facing away from the building.
No.
Why not? How could it be in 6 months' time? I'm on the other side of that building. My nighttime has to be that way, and Mercury is still behind me.
Okay, I understand what
It's an impossibility for us to actually see Mercury if the model they give us is right. Equally, if we're traveling through space at zillions of miles an hour, how does our solar system keep this perfect plate with all these planets just evenly for zillions of years, all millions of thousands of years, all keeping a perfect alignment in some kind of ring formation? I promise you, these things do not work in a Big Bang. Everything should be all pulled off alignment. But think about Mercury.
Okay.
And think about this. I'll give you one more idea, right? If today I'm standing here and my nighttime is where you're standing, yeah, this is my nighttime, and I've got about 120-degree arc of view. That's my nighttime. In 6 months' time, I'm on the other side of the building, yeah, so my nighttime is going to be out that way. I can never see you guys because you're behind me and the sun. The stars that are there that I can see now.
But we are turning with you.
Okay, so let's think about outside of our solar system. Alpha Centauri or some other galaxy that's a zillion light years away, all right? That, if I can see it tonight, I cannot see it in 6 months' time. I should not be able to see it in 6 months' time because it cannot have followed me and my track so fast and so far to keep up with my line. No way. Because I have a 120-degree arc of view here. In 3 months' time, I have a 120-degree nighttime out that way. In 3 months' time, I have a 120-degree that way, and so it goes. Yeah, we should have a completely different set of stars and galaxies and stuff that we can see as the months of the year go past. But in fact, most of the time we can see very similar stars. As I said earlier on, our range of view is limited, so we don't see all of the roof. We don't see all of the sky. If you're in a big hall and you can only see some of the lights in the hall, but as you move through the hall, you can see some of the lights. That's exactly how I think our flat Earth model might work. But when you unpick the globe model, you realize that there's so many logical fallacies. It just doesn't really hold up.
But I have an answer for your Mercury theory right now.
Okay.
If this is the sun, the building,
Yes.
and Mercury is turning with us,
Yes.
then what we see is Mercury as the moon. Like, the moon reflects the sunlight.
Not really, but I know we were taught that, but I don't think that's true.
So Mercury does the same. And all the other planets does the same. When they're with us turn, we see their reflection. That's the star, that's the light, their reflection coming to us. So now we can see him. We can't see him in the sun because we have the sun and the reflection is going to the sun, so we can't see it. But when we're here,
Who's that? Hello. Hey. Yes, that was my baby and my wife. Okay, no, but remember this, okay? Mercury, for me to have nighttime, the sun has to be behind me. It has to be at my back. For me to have nighttime, my eyes are now looking into the nighttime, the sun is behind me. And the Mercury is inside of that track. There's no time, if I've got a 120-degree arc for my nighttime, there's no time that Mercury could slip inside of that arc of view. It's always behind my head. And as I go in 6 months' time, if I'm on the other side of the building and we take that statue and we put it on the inside track again, it's still behind my head. It's
Mercury,
always outside of my
all the
view.
other planets are not traveling in the same speed.
Okay, but let's just focus on the Mercury, because Mercury is a bit of an anomaly. The others, I accept that, and I'd be willing to agree that they could catch up and they can be inside of my 120-degree arc and so on. I'd accept that, but Mercury is the one that really is a bit of a problem to explain for the model, because it's like, at no time should I be able to see that if it's inside of the track, and in which the only way I could ever see it would be to turn around in the daytime and see it in the daytime, because that's the only time it's ever going to be in my line of sight, is that once it comes into this arc, and then I can see it. But no, we can't see any stars in the daytime, but we can obviously see it at nighttime, or in the very early or morning or late in the evening. But that has to be inside of this view. It cannot be.
But then
it could
it's
not
the
exist
early
behind.
morning and evening again working, because who says that it's moving like this? Can move like this, the circles are always drawn when we do it in school. It's always drawn like
In
rings.
Yes.
But who says that these rings are on equal levels? And
science
different
model, the
heights?
mainstream science model says that there are kind of. If you look
I
at any
think
model,
that's just a way to show that,
Yeah.
or a simple way to show it to the normal person, so he knows, there are multiple planets and they're all in line, but they can be at different positions. And then when Mercury is like in space, actually it doesn't work to say it's higher or lower, because it's a round thing. But if we would stay on your thing, and we would have the night, the sun shining here, we are here on the Earth, right?
Okay.
Like, we can't get the sunlight, but Mercury is higher, so we see this thing but not this thing.
Well, remember
when you're through, these two guys over there,
they
go a
want to
little talk.
Yeah.
Please.
Okay. Well, that's a fair point, and I'll have to wrap it up and say, remember that, as we said, Mercury is behind my head, and I've only got a 120-degree arc of view here. So for Mercury to be inside of that, it has to get past me. It has to come in front
if you
of
turn
me.
around right now, you are not the Earth. You're a person. With a normal view.
But I'm trying to, in my model, I'm trying to say
I know,
that,
that
and
you're
the
trying
scale
in
of
your
it is
model.
about right, because that's so massive, and I'm so small by comparison.
No, I don't mean that. But in your model, you're trying to be the Earth, looking as a human. But you're not a human. You're the Earth, and the Earth, of course, the Earth can't see the Mercury. But a person who's standing in this curve can. From the Earth.
We know that we can, but I say that when you really look at the model, try and draw it out for yourself. Say, how is it possible that I could get that in my line of sight? Because, as I say, you've only got this cup of view, this 120-degree arc of view, up, down, left, and right. This is your view at nighttime. And so the stars have to be inside of that view for you to see them. And we see Mercury, so it has to somehow get past, it's on the inside track, it has to get past that to get within my view. These two guys, we've had a fantastic conversation.
Yeah,
I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it. What's your
learned
name?
a lot.
Thank you.
Julius.
Julius, I'm Dave. They call me Trinity4 on YouTube. My YouTube is Trinity4.
Okay.
Check me out. If you've ever got any more questions, I'll remember you, Julius, for sure. I've had a wonderful conversation with you too, my friend. What's your name?
Micah.
Micah. That's a beautiful name. I like that name. Is it Mikah?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I've really enjoyed it. I hope this is useful for you. And remember, what I'm saying is that gravity is like a religious belief, and that if it's true that we've been lied to, it means that you are way more important than this system ever wants you to know. I say that you might be the creator's creation, you might be the divine, like the pinnacle, the apex of all creation. There should be no king, no
church work.
maybe. But I say to people, you might be the Christ, the Jesus Christ character might be in each of us. That we might well be the son or the daughter of God. Yeah.
I say I understand your movement right now way more than I did before.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Julius.
I think
Micah?
both, I think that on both sides there are like people who just try to shut both sides down, and I think it's a great talk to you because
Thank you.
it's not like you try to force it on us, like
Cool.
you really try to explain it to us.
thank
I
you.
think it's nice.
Thank you. Well, you have to do your own research. The only person that's going to free your own mind is you. I can't do it for you, but I'm here to say, I'm here not to convert you, but to alert you that you've been deceived. And that if you free your own mind, you will find your own divine feminine, your own divine masculine warrior within each of you and have the best possible life that you could have. That's all I'm offering you. Nothing to sell, no clubs to join. The club is within you. We are one. There should be one divine creation, one perfect creation.
Okay,
Julius,
so,
all the best, my friend.
What was your YouTube channel?
Trinity4, the number 4, Trinity4.
Okay, I remember that.
The body, mind, body, and soul. That's us. Trinity4. Bye-bye, Micah. Cheers, Julius. Bye-bye. My friends, I can have a chat with you. My name is Dave. Hi.
Zane.
Zane, how are you going? I didn't catch your name again.
I'm sorry.
Your name?
It's Frank.
Frank and Zane.
Yeah.
How can I help you guys?
No, just discussing about the flat Earth. What are you particularly trying to convince?
Well, I'm trying to convince people that our government is not our friend. That our science has been mistaught, just like religion. I don't know if you're into any religion. Do you follow any, practice any religion at all? You do?
Not religious though.
Okay, you know there's a creator.
Yeah.
Okay, so but you know also then that some religions, or maybe all religions, were designed to rob people of the truth about the creator, because they can't be coexisting, these religions, right?
Yeah.
All they've done is create division and war and hardship. That's what I see.
So what's the creator? Or who is the creator?
Who's the creator? Well, I'm not sure, but what if it's us? What if we are the creator? And what if something within the system has been trying for hundreds or thousands of years to deny us the truth about the nature of this reality? And that, let's say, because in the Bible, for example, it says that God created us in his image or her image, right? So when you look in the mirror, I say to people, when you look in the mirror, maybe you are looking at God. Maybe when you read the story of Jesus Christ, maybe you're reading the story about yourself, that you might well be the Christ. We might well be that higher potential, but we've had that all robbed from us. Initially by religions who said, oh, you're not important, you're not, you must subjugate yourself to the Pope or to something higher. Then kings and queens who said, you're not sovereigns, you're not that important, you need to pay taxes, you need to, bow and scrape to me, right? Then they come along with this science that says, oh, you're not important at all. In fact, there's much more intelligent life out there. You just simply came from a monkey, or you came from a big bang, and you're not important. In fact, you've evolved over the last 20 or 50,000 years. You used to be Neanderthals, or used to be all of this sort of stuff, which is about robbing you of the truth about who and what you are. I believe none of those. Where do we come from?
Yeah.
Well, I think that we were created. Let's say by ourselves. Let's say we created ourselves, and we created us. How? Oh, I don't know that. When I die, I'll get back to you. I think we find that stuff out when we die. I'm just offering you a suggestion.
You're going to revive after you're going.
There's no death. There's no death in this. Well, because I had a DMT experience. Do you know what the pineal gland is?
No.
The third eye. Have you heard of ayahuasca?
No.
Okay, guys. I'm 50 years old, right?
Yeah.
And thank you. And when I look 60. No. But when I was about 4 or 5 years ago, I came across the third eye, the pineal gland, and this thing called ayahuasca. It's a plant that the shaman do in South America. A plant. Okay. Yeah, and you can smoke it or drink it. Now I happened to smoke it, and in 5 minutes I went from an atheist who didn't believe in any God to someone who believed in I had like a near-death experience. Who I believe that that we're connected to something much higher, something much greater than what we are here. But I only know this because my pineal gland, which is in your brain, as a matter of scientific fact, was opened for me with this ayahuasca, the DMT, dimethyltryptamine.
Where did you find that?
You can find it in a bunch of places, but look into ayahuasca. In some countries, yes. In Switzerland, yes. In a number of countries, yes. Spain, Portugal, yes. I think maybe not Spain, but Portugal, yes. Now, go onto YouTube and look for the spirit molecule, DMT, the spirit molecule, and look into this. Because for me, I wasn't willing to believe that. I thought we lived and we died. Now I know that there is something more, that when we leave this life, we go back to something higher than us, that we are connected to some massively higher being.
We will know the truth when we die.
We will know the truth, but the thing is, this is why this is important.
We can change anything.
That we can change. Here, we have the ability to change things because our thoughts can affect our reality, and that's why they give us religion. That's why they give us government to control our thoughts. Okay. And that's why they've given us the science of monkeys to control our minds and stop us from ever reaching our divinity.
The science of monkeys, right. Are you trying me to convince that the earth is flat or that the religion is fake?
You probably don't need convincing that religions are fake, because you probably already know that.
No, like you're trying. What I see there is the flat Earth society.
No society, my brother.
What society?
The Flat Earth Society is a government psyop.
Okay.
It's controlled.
Flat
but
Earth.
yes.
Flat Earth.
I start with
You're
flat
a
Earth.
flat earther.
Okay, we're all flat
I'm a flat
earthers.
earther.
We're all flat
I am
earthers.
not.
Well, we
Right
live on
now
a flat
I'm
earth.
not.
I have a question. You started at the beginning. Sorry for interruption. You started in the beginning. All governments are lying to us.
Yes.
Which government do you mean?
I think
the
that.
American one.
Okay. Yeah, I think that if you are a government in the world, anywhere in the world today, you are a government under license. So let me.
Every government in the world is being controlled by
A central command. Yes.
a central.
So I'll give you the British example. When the British people were given a government, they were given it by who? By the king. The king said, yes, we will give you a government, and they gave them one party. Initially, there was just a single party that became the people's government. Then they wanted to have this dialectic, this left and right side, so that people could say, oh, well, I wasn't so happy with him, but we can choose him, right? So the governments were given to us by the kings and queens, but the kings and queens were initially empowered by the religious orders, by the Vatican and so on. You know, they were given territories and so on. Liechtenstein, we just came out of Liechtenstein, which is, one of these territories. Yeah, so all governments, I'm afraid to say, the Cold War, all wars, in fact, and I fought in a war as a kid myself in Angola when I was 19 years old. So I've been in war, but I can say this.
Where do you come from?
I was born in England, raised in South Africa, and I live in London now. So all governments, let me say this, that all governments operate under license, by permission. So if you're a government in the world today, you might say, oh, we don't like the Americans, or we're Iran, or North Korea. North Korea is there because the CIA created North Korea. These things are not happening without some kind of central control. I don't blame the Americans. I don't blame the Jews. I don't blame the British. The people are mostly ignorant as to what this is going on. But the banking system is a part of the control. The governments are part of the control. The religions are part of the control.
See, if you told me this stuff like I don't know, 20, 30 years ago, I maybe would have thought about it. But now that we have internet and we are connected in the world and we can know everything. If it was in China, not North Korea, but it was in China or Iran or something like that, we see what's happening. There are like a lot of there is a revolution right now in Lebanon. and they are trying to repel the government.
Yes, there's revolutions everywhere, brother.
So how does the central command get around that?
It wants
Because in Egypt, I lived in Egypt in 2013 for a year, and they repelled the president, and another president came by the people from the people. Like
Yeah.
he was the chief command in the the
army or something.
Yes, and do they control him right away, or has he been controlled all this
I
time?
would suggest it's the latter. I would suggest that normally a guy who gets in command is already a safe pair of hands, like Donald Trump. They love to make people think that Donald Trump was an outsider, but it's my contention that he was always an inside guy. And he's got just like Obama. When Obama came into power in America, that people really thought that, hey, here's a black man, he's going to really make a difference. He promised
their plan.
Yeah, he promised to close Guantanamo Bay within days. He never did in 8 years, right? Whenever these guys come into power, they make certain promises, but when you look at the reality, then the change never seems to be in the favor of the people. People just continue to get poorer, and the control simply gets tighter. So I suggest that most people who get in command or control will be controlled already. If not, and they don't step into line, then yes, they might die all of a sudden. Or the country. Here's another example. Or the country will be impoverished. The Americans or the people that run this game have the ability to close off the economics for your country or make banking very expensive. Some people suggest even to change the weather so that you have a drought and your crops fail, and then you're reliant on the world trade.
The weather.
Well, I won't get into weather modification, but weather modification is a matter of fact that they can cause rain, they can cause droughts by doing various things in the atmosphere.
I've heard about that, but in controlled laboratories, not in cities.
Okay. Well, a matter of as a matter of fact, let me just make this point that as a matter of fact, China for the Beijing Olympics controlled the weather so that there would be no rain and they would clear away the smog for the Olympics. That's a matter of fact. They've been cloud seeding since the 1950s to make rain happen. That's a matter of fact. But let's get back to flat Earth.
Okay, yeah.
Well, no, let's not get onto that because weather modification is a deep subject.
I'm really interested. How do they do that?
They can drop. Hello, sweetheart. This is my wife and my baby boy. We have children at university, and when I found this stuff out a few years ago, I was like, you know what, I want to do it again, but this time try and do it knowledgeable, because previously I was totally ignorant or nescient. I didn't know that there was stuff I needed to know. But that's why I go out and share this with people, because the internet is very controlled. In fact, flat Earth is a controlled subject. If you type in flat Earth, most of the pages that you'll come up with will be disinfo and making fun of it, rather than showing great experiments that people are doing to show that water is level, that we cannot...
You search flat Earth, not flat Earth experiments.
Okay. Well, I mean, but if I type in UFOs and aliens, I get all the best UFO sites and stuff. But when you type in flat Earth, the best flat Earth sites are hidden. They're not on the first few pages.
They are really there.
Have you searched?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is your kind of best, thing against it?
I'm not a flat earther, as I said.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Okay, let's stick with water. Water we can measure over any distance. We say water is level. The Suez Canal is 120 miles long, and it's provably level from one end to the other. If it wasn't level, we'd need to put locks to step the water down, as they do with the Panama Canal. So that's the only way you can step water down, is you've got to contain it and then slowly release it. Otherwise, it will rush to its lowest point. That's the natural physics of water.
Yeah, so like it's saying that if the Earth is round, the water that is like in the Antarctic will like die.
Yeah, I mean, if you spin a ball, for example, at 1,000 miles an hour, then the water is going to kind of concentrate at the equator and then fly off. Probably, it's going to do that. But actually, a river is never going to run up.
Let's transition to gravity.
Okay.
What's your take on gravity?
Gravity's a theory, never been proven. And gravity is based on Newton having an apple fall on his head, right? That's what we're told. So an apple falls on a guy's head, and he says, that must be gravity.
How did this happen? What caused the apple to fall from the tree on my head?
Let's start with what caused the apple to get up there in the first place.
It was on the tree.
How did it get there?
the tree was a little tree. They planted it, and it grew.
So
And
the
then
tree.
an apple came.
Okay, so the tree drew water up from the ground. It pulled water up from the ground. It's the equivalent of me picking up the apple off the floor, but slowly over the course of the spring and the summer, over months, the apple brings little bits of water, drop by drop by drop by drop, and creates an apple. Eventually that apple gets heavy enough and the connection to the tree gets weak enough for it to fall because its weight is greater than the surrounding atmosphere, or its density is higher than the environment that it's in. And that's why it will fall. But you've got to remember, this is why they use the apple, because no one ever thinks about how the apple got off the floor. But the apple had to get picked up off the floor by the tree, bit by bit by bit, and grow into a big apple. Yeah. So it's this third law of motion, which is that things will an equal and opposite reaction. So if I lift something up, it will drop down. Yeah. So the apple gets lifted up, and it falls down under its own weight in this environment. So gravity. Then they say, okay, now because it fell down, if I made a ball big enough and I used a whole lot of maths, I could say that water would stick to the underside of the ball. But that's I think my brain is a little bit fried right now. That's one form of gravity. There's a join the conversation. Join, please do. Please do. Is it Zane? It's Zane, hey, and Frank. Yeah, I'm not bad. But let me say that gravity there's two types. There's the things that are being pulled to the center mass of the Earth, and then there's the Einsteinian gravity, which is that we're bending time and space. Now, bending time and space is like space and time are two man-made concepts, really, and the idea that you can actually bend this thing like a trampoline is a nonsense.
Say something. Einstein.
Okay.
Einstein talked about how the planets evolve around,
Revolve
rotate
around each other, yes?
revolve or no, not around each other, around the sun.
Come in the conversation, my brother. You don't want to be on camera. That's fine. That's fine.
Around the sun.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
Or how the moon
Yes.
revolves around the
Yes.
Earth.
And but
That's
okay.
what Einstein
Okay.
explains. But what Newton explains, that there is gravity, and the center of the Earth is pulling us towards it.
Okay.
That's why the water will not fly off of the.
They might be in the bag. Yeah, okay. I mean, I say, for me, I'm into physics that you and I can experiment for ourselves, rather than accepting theories that we can't really, you know what I mean? Because the gravity is a theory, and they've never been able to prove it. They say they can see.
I don't agree that gravity is a theory. I think
You don't agree that
no.
gravity is a theory?
don't.
Well, I mean, it's a matter of fact, my brother, that it's a theory. But, I mean, I respect that you don't have to agree with me, but as far as I know, there is no science that proves that gravity is a real thing. Now, modern science has come up with this machine called a LIGO. Now, the trick is in the word. It's a LIGO, that they say that they can measure gravity waves coming from a zillion miles away out in space. Right? And again, this is not something that you and I can test for ourselves.
Let's not talk
Okay?
about that.
What you and I can test for ourselves, if I said to you, well, why don't you make me a model of the Earth that was a ball, that had rivers running up from underneath and waters and lakes being held perfectly still on the
but you
underside of
can't
that?
do that
We can't do that. But I could make you a flat Earth model where I said, let's take a big lake, put some rocks in the middle with a little magnetic pole in the center, and sail around that.
That doesn't mean that one is right and one is wrong.
Well, it means that we can.
If you can't model the Earth because you don't have a huge enough mass to pull the water to the model, like the center of the Earth is pulling the water. You can test that.
I used to accept that. Zane, I used to accept that, and then, but for me, NASA was the proof that I used to have in my mind that we could that balls are floating around in space like this. That was my proof.
Okay.
And then when I
Let's
saw
talk
the
about
documentary about NASA, that's a funny thing happened on the way to the moon. That documentary shows NASA footage of Armstrong and co. faking going to the moon. Their lunar lander provably never worked on Earth. They couldn't get just the chassis of the lunar lander to work, let alone the entire thing. Then when you look at the lunar lander under high definition pictures of the moon shots under high definition, you analyze this and you see it's just made of paper and shower curtains and stuff like that. It's nothing this now. You've got to watch this documentary. A funny thing happened on the way to the moon. Because guys have spent many hours analyzing this stuff. Not National Geographic or your TV channels, because they're part of the lie.
How do I find this?
You go on YouTube. A funny thing happened on the way to the moon.
Okay.
Just type that in. A guy called Bart Sibrel made it. A funny thing happened on the way to the moon. And you will see the interview. You will see the interview with the 3 NASA astronauts that came back from the first moon landing. If that had been the 3 of us, and we'd been to the moon, we were the first men ever to go to the moon, we would be elated. We would be over the moon. We would be so excited, right? But these guys sit there guilty. Like, you know, when you're a small child and you get caught out for stealing sweets or something like that, and your dad's giving you a hard time and you're feeling guilty and you're like, no, Dad, I didn't take the sweets. Okay. Well, let me tell you, this is what these boys look like. Their answers don't make sense. They don't add up. One says, I can see stars. The other one says, no, we couldn't see stars.
Okay. Can I ask a question? Your friend there here,
yes,
The guy from Slovenia.
yes, my friend Jack.
Yeah, he told us that this above us is water.
Okay, that's a theory. Yes.
Okay, let's not talk about that.
Yeah.
The Earth is flat. Is a plane? What did he say? A plane.
Like a plane, like a infinite plane or something like that.
The Earth. How is the Earth?
Okay.
From your perspective.
Okay, my perspective is we don't know what's below the Earth. The deepest we've ever drilled is 8 miles in Russia, the Kola Deep.
What's the
so what we can tell is that this seems
like
to be some kind of plane. I don't know that it's a plate. Some people say, like my example was, if I had to give you a model Earth, it would be built in a lake. So because we know with physics of water, it has to be contained. So some people say, like the biblical and all the ancient Vedic texts and all the old religions used to say we're in some kind of enclosed dome system, right? Like the Truman Show. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
I've seen
okay,
it.
So like we're in some kind of enclosed dome.
A very, very large.
Very massive dome.
Okay.
But I offer that only as a theory. I don't tell you what it is because I don't know. I know that water, as far as we can tell, as far as we can measure, as far as we can see, is level.
You don't know how exactly it's flat, but it is like a kind of flat.
Well, I mean, from the known world that we're in, they say 70% water. Now, if water is always level, then that bit is level, and then the continents are just sticking outside above that. That's what I would offer to you. But beyond that, well, I offer this, that the further away you get from the equator, the colder the sun gets and the lower it comes on your horizon. So if I travel 10,000 miles north or south of the equator, I offer to you that it becomes so cold and the sun's so far away that everything is frozen. That's what I offer to you. That's north or south. East or west, I'm not so sure. That's what I offer to you. Because you know that if you go under the sun at the equator...
So where is the North Pole?
Where is
I've seen this model and he told me that the North Pole is
at the center.
Middle,
Yeah, I mean, that's one model, but I don't know that that's right.
How do you explain then the sun?
The sun?
Is it far away like we think, or is it like just up there and it's very small?
Yeah, I think it's close, and I think that actually you are like, your brain or your eyes are like a decoder. So that a decoder. You know, like for watching satellite TV, you've got to have a box on your TV. If you don't have the box, you can't see it, right? So when you go with your girlfriend and you stand at the beach at sunset, the sunlight is coming to your toes. Now your friend is standing over there 50 meters away. You can't see the sunlight coming to his toes, but where he's standing with his girlfriend, the sunlight's coming to his toes. So he's seeing his own interpretation of a light that's in the sky. So I think the sun is like a point of energy, a point of light, and we each decode it depending on where we are. Closer to the equator, it's over your head. Further from the equator, north or south, it comes on to your ear. It's shining onto your ear.
How does the sun rotate? Does it rotate?
Well, I think the sun goes over our head. Does it go around in a circle? Some people say that. I'm not sure about that. I prefer that it's a straight line. That actually that there's a pulse of light that comes every day. Now, there's not many people in the flat Earth say the same thing, but
the sun and the flat Earth are like parallel.
Yes, and it's running parallel. But the further it goes away, the lower it becomes on the horizon.
Where does it become lower? Where it's like parallel?
Like if you and I had to take a line over our heads, just say it's 10 meters high, and we had to shoot it across this. As it gets further away, it seems like it's getting lower.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, well, how about this? An aircraft, right? It's traveling at 30,000 feet. It's coming towards you from your left-hand side, yeah, and it seems to be rising, yeah. And as it gets over your head, it gets to a zenith or a high point, and then as it goes, yeah, and as it gets over your head, it gets to a zenith or a high point, and then as it goes away, it appears to be setting again. You get that, right? But we know that it's at cruising altitude the whole time, and that's what I say the sun is doing. Yes, I promise you. You need to.
I always see planes, and they don't like go like that.
Now remember, I'm saying the one that's going over your head. If you're looking at one off in the distance, you're not going to see it quite as obvious. But if the track is coming kind of towards you, it's going to rise, and then set as it goes away.
So on what altitude is the plane?
Set as it goes away.
So on what altitude is the plane flying? You said 30,000 feet.
Yeah.
So that's
10,000 meters, 10 Ks. Oh no, is it 10 Ks? Something
10
like that.
K.
Yeah, it's
10 kilometers.
Yes.
And how far is the sun if it was that small?
I think
how far should it be?
Well, I think that the sun is the sun that when we're standing at say at the beach height and it's directly over your head, it might only be 20 Ks, 40 Ks high. I some people say 3,000, but I don't think it's as high as that.
So
and I'll say this as well.
Theoretically.
I think it moves as you move. So if you were to go higher, it would seem to be rising. But when we take a high altitude balloon up, when the guys pan the high altitude brown from 120,000 feet, it looks like the moon is almost at the same level when they look at it. But this is speculation. This is things that we can't be absolutely sure of. And I wouldn't want to lose the conversation with you based on things that are theoretical.
Okay.
I'm trying to stick with the things that I can demonstrate to you.
Stick with this thing. Like, have you ever watched the sunset before? I think you have.
Of course, my friend. Yes.
So like, if you're telling that the Earth is this, and the sun goes around the Earth.
I'm not saying it goes round.
Or parallel.
Or parallel.
Yeah, okay.
You just said it goes
Yeah,
parallel.
yeah.
What does it like get slower and not go right or left? What does it get slower?
Okay, so let's just say we're watching the sun now, and this is south. I'm not sure what it is, but let's just say this is south, and we watch it in the morning, rise in the east.
In the east.
And we see it travel through the sky.
It goes
and
up there.
Yeah, up quite high. Well,
It
depends
down.
on the season. Yeah?
If it goes parallel, it would go like this, like a straight line.
Well, that's why I offer you the object of the aeroplane, because the airplane, which is traveling like
I'm
that.
just sticking to that. If you're saying that the Earth and the sun are parallel,
Yeah.
like why would the sun go parallel to Earth? Like not go to up there and then go down, but like go behind that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my theories might be wrong, but these are only theories on what it might be, because I'm offering you ideas about how it could possibly work. You can argue with me, but I don't really want to argue about it because I don't know for sure. I'm just offering you because I've obviously thought about this a lot for the last 4 years, because I spent my entire adult life believing what you know what we all believe.
Changed the last 4 years.
Yes, only 4 years ago. Why? Curvature. If we live on a ball 24,900 miles in circumference, they say there should be 8 inches in the mile squared of curvature, bending, rotundity, right? If my head was the globe, then you can measure the curving as it comes down. You can put some form of measuring tool and say, this is how much it's going to curve for every time, every inch or every centimeter you go down, it's going to bend. Well, we can't measure that curvature on Earth, and we know that water is level. So
at the banner it says find out where you really live.
yes.
What's that for?
Because we are the center of the universe. There is nothing more than what we are here. This is the center of everything. Where do we live? Well,
where do you?
Well, in London, you mean? Or that's where my home was.
In London.
Yeah, how do we
Did
know?
you find out with that app or something?
Oh, well, I mean, okay,
out
no,
in
well, I mean, that's, that's, I'm not sure where you're going with that.
Question. What about planets?
Yeah.
So if we're in a dome and the sun is close enough, it has to be close because if theoretically we're in a dome,
Yes.
it has.
Yes, let's say everything's within 100 miles of us, high. That's about as high. Let's just say, for example, that's about it.
What about the thing?
So the planets,
Mars, Jupiter, Mercury.
The planets, the Mars, Jupiter, and Mercury used to be known by the ancients. The intelligent ancients used to call them wandering stars. And when we look at them, they look just like stars, right? They look just like stars. They don't look like rocks that are reflecting light.
From here.
Absolutely, we can see them.
From here.
Yes. We can see them with our naked eye, right? What, Mars and Mercury and Venus, we can see these with our eyes. At night time, no, you can see them just with your naked eye.
How we can see the stars?
Everybody says, I mean, you see the moon with Venus.
How would you tell that is Mars? What you're seeing?
How would I tell it's Mars? Well, I mean, I have to say I rely on astrological. You know, have you heard of the astrolabe? The astrolabe is a 2,000-year-old computer. It's mainstream science. You can find this on.
2,000-year-old.
Yeah, it's considered to be a computer. It's just a series of discs, like record players, stacked on top of each other. And the ancients used to use this to predict the positions of the wandering stars and so on. Yeah, falling for what? I'm not falling for anything, my brother. Now, I'm having a conversation. Don't be rude.
Sorry.
What the astrolabe is a 2,000-year-old device that was used to predict exactly where the position of these stars were. So I do accept that if they say that light there that you see is Mars, I accept that. Now, when guys take a powerful zoom camera, like Nikon P1000 camera, they film this and they slow that down. They see what like it's a light show. It's nothing like a rock reflecting light. And if it was a rock reflecting light, it would have to be a huge amount of light to travel all that way back from 100 million miles away, or whatever they say it is.
So what do you believe? Like, are the planets round?
I think the planets or wandering stars are lights. They're just stars or lights that are on their own track. They're independent of the constellations of the Milky Way.
I'm asking about the shape.
The shape, no lights, no balls. There's no balls.
There's no balls.
No balls. The sun, I think, is a disk, and the moon is a disk which rolls through the sky like this. As you can observe it for yourself.
Yeah.
Like a pizza, if you like. But all we see is like a
Clear
disk.
sky, we can see Mars.
Do you mean the moon?
I mean, the moon is like a light disk. And if you
Like
say
a hard object?
no, not a hard object, just an energy,
the reflection.
a point of energy. No, a point of energy that we encode as a light.
The moon is independent from the sun.
Correct.
The moon doesn't get its energy from the sun.
No, although I think they play off each other. I think they might have something to do with each other. But the moon, we've proven, is cooling things. We can, if we go in the shade of moonlight versus the direct moonlight, we find that the water in direct moonlight gets colder than the water that's left in the shade of the moonlight. There's lots of people doing this experiment. But I want to offer you this thing that you can observe for yourself, and I've been observing for 3 years, is that if you go around a full moon time and pick a spot on the moon, and come back in 2 hours, you will have noticed it shifts like this. In 2 hours, shift like this. About half the speed of our hand, I notice that it's rolling through the sky every night, like turning. Yeah, and we don't get taught that at school. And if the moon was a rock, then we would be able to see it at new moon. We would see like a silhouette going near or in front of the sun. But for 10 hours either side of the new moon, we cannot see it. That's mainstream's own
Is the moon and
word.
the sun the same size?
Yes, they're the same size. But mainstream science will tell you they're 400 times further apart, which is why one is 400 times smaller and bigger. That's all
How
bullshit.
big is Mars?
How big? Yeah.
Well, I think that these are just small points of light, and if if you take that same powerful zoom telescope that you can see this little flickering light show, I don't, but people I know do, and they've shown me their own footage of this. If you go and look at that footage, you say, okay, let's try and replicate how far we can zoom into a light on Earth. Let's say we go into a tall building and try and find a light 10 miles away, 20 miles away. Can my camera pick up that light? Yes, just about. So I suggest that these are small lights, probably no bigger than maybe a street light or something like that, and they're 10, 20 miles high. Just my theory.
To the Earth, is the sun and the moon bigger or smaller?
No, they're small lights. And I'm not a man of the Bible necessarily, but I think that the Bible is right. I think the Bible said that there are small lights.
Connecting to religious things.
But I think they're small lights.
I'm like, the sun and the moon are the same size.
Yes.
And what about the Earth? Is it bigger?
Earth is center stage, and the lights are just here for illuminating, for energy, and so on.
I'm asking, is it
They're
bigger
small,
or smaller?
small, tiny. Or think about it. If I'm saying that they're 20 miles, 30 miles, 40 miles high, and you only see this little thing in the sky at 40 miles, it can't be that big. Maybe it's a mile across. Maybe it's 10 miles across. I'm not
How do you
sure.
explain a lunar eclipse?
The lunar eclipse. That's the one where the sun, where the moon
is in front
It's
of the
in
light of the
front
sun.
of the light of the sun.
Well, we suggest that there's two dark bodies called Ketu and Rahu, that the ancients called Ketu and Rahu, and then these are hiding the moon and the sun. But there is astrological evidence or proof that both the moon and the sun have been in the sky, visible at the same time as a lunar eclipse. And here's an interesting thing. Here's an interesting thing: is that if the moon, if you put an object in front of a light, that object is going to throw a shadow larger than the object itself, right?
Depends.
On?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Think about it. Think about it.
If you take the lights
Further away,
further away,
the object gets bigger.
the shadow will be bigger.
Right. So one second. Thanks, bro.
Yeah.
Thanks, best stand-up comedy ever.
I get some of that. I just got given €1. Let me just turn the camera on me. I just got given, hello friends. I just got given €1 by a man who's so triggered by this that he thinks that this is comedy. I'm cool with that. Now let me get back to my friends here.
Yeah.
Zane and Frank.
Yeah, we just met.
I'm
Yeah.
really
It's like-
surprised that you remember my name.
Well, that's cool, Zane. There's a cool guy in the Flat Earth. His name is Zane as well. He makes some
Flat
some really
Earth.
cool
Like, just
cool.
prove that the Earth is flat.
Yeah, well,
Okay,
that we
let-
we see ourselves as some kind of community, I suppose, you know, in the sense that
I
we
have
are
one-
people who
one
know
more
that we can
question.
see it.
I have
But
one.
no, let me just, before you move on from the moon, think about it like this: that the last lunar eclipse that happened in America last year, the totality, the area of totality was provably only 70 miles wide. Now, if the moon is 2,000 miles wide, as they say, then the shadow should be at least 2,000 miles. And probably a whole lot more. In fact, it should cover and span the entire Earth. If it's 250,000 miles away, and the sun is 90 million miles away, as they say, then the shadow that the moon casts should be huge, not 70 miles. Yeah. So that's the point about that's an interesting point to consider about the eclipses. But you had one more thing, Zane. Yes, one more question.
Yeah. So what is up there? Is there space?
Space is this is space. We're in space right now, and all around us is space. However, outer space was first designed in comic strips in the 1920s. The idea that there was a violent vacuum sitting alongside of our atmosphere was designed by comic strip writers, science fiction writers. But we know the second law of thermodynamics requires for there to be a barrier between a vacuum and a pressure system, just like a deodorant can.
Okay.
Yeah? So if that's true, that there is such a thing as outer space, or as my friend suggested, that there's water above us, then there has to be some kind of hard, firm, fixed barrier that's separating us from that.
So
if it's true.
If I'm here, yeah, and I have, let's say, the ability to fly,
Yes.
and I fly just like up there.
Yes.
What do I see?
I would
Or
suggest to
let's
you.
say not fly. I build a rocket, yeah,
Yes.
and I let it fly. Not me. Like, for example, there are now a lot of people that can build a rocket, and it will go with the technology that we have right now. I can build a rocket, and it will go up there. What will the rocket see?
Well, the highest that we've seen rockets go, all we see is it just becomes it's level as far as we can see out, but we think
I'm
that
not
we
talking about
lose
Earth.
our rocketry can't actually get high enough to reach the roof, if there is a roof. Because have you heard of Richard Branson? Richard Branson is a multi-billionaire British dude who owns Virgin Atlantic and a whole lot of other things, right? This guy started a company called Virgin Galactic 15 years ago, and he said he was going to be taking people on space hops to go to the outer edge of space and so on.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk kind of guy, right? So he was going to take people with rockets out there, and he cannot do that. Everything that Elon Musk offers us after the takeoff, CGI. So we think that actually, because the rocket has got nothing to push off, and as the atmosphere gets thinner and thinner, we can't actually get above 100 with any machine. We can't get above 100,000 feet, which is why the Americans' U-2 spy plane can get to 70,000 feet. We can take balloons like Felix Baumgartner.
Yeah, but
I think he's the highest any man has ever been.
If the rocket was powered enough, it was going up like by 100,000 feet. Will it explode? Will it just go down?
What, the
What will
rocket?
happen? Yeah.
Well, we think that the NASA rockets we're doing a parabola. They're kind of going up, and then they're kind of losing their trajectory, and then they go down, and they drop them in the sea, and then they collect them. And everything we get after that, CGI.
Have you witnessed that?
I've never been to a rocket launch myself, but I've looked at a lot of the footage of that, and we think actually, just so you know what we think that they're actually simply big balloons like the. I used to believe in the space shuttle, by the way, but now I think that they're actually large helium balloons. They're light as air. they've got rockets on them, and they get them up to about 20 miles, something like that, and then they're out of view. And that's why they roll, because actually it's the weight of the it's just a balloon that they're floating up there, and they're firing.
The NASA collects the rockets.
They collect the rocket, and then they after that, and then maybe in the Bermuda Triangle, they always launch over the ocean. And then of course Elon Musk stuff is mostly CGI. This idea that he can reverse a rocket back onto a launch pad and reuse it, total bullshit. You know, this guy is designed to kind of take the younger generation's minds off into space and off into Mars and all this sort of crap. I used to be like, oh, I can't wait for them to find life on Mars, because I was so anti-God. I was so anti the idea that there was a creator to this place. But now I realize that these things were all designed to kind of keep me from ever realizing my true divinity, about how important you are and you are.
So you are saying I'm a huge fan of Elon Musk, yeah?
Yeah.
And I
So
follow,
I'm sorry to break the news to you.
I follow, we will see about that. I follow his YouTube channel, not his, but his company, SpaceX. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
They live stream a lot of missions. Some of them are missions. Have you heard of the Falcon Heavy?
Yes.
It was launched on 6th of February last year.
Just turn for me so I can get that building and turn around, Zane. So I can, only because I think I'll see your face better with more light.
So Falcon Heavy was launched to space February 2018.
Yeah.
And the thing it took with it was the Roadster, the first.
Yes, my brother. I'm so glad you brought that up. Go on. Yes.
I'm not saying it's real,
But, you're not?
But I don't want to say it's real, but you are saying that all of this is CGI.
Elon Musk says
I can
himself.
now go to the internet and open a stream from the Rocketman, what he calls the car in space, and watch the stream from up there.
Okay.
Are you saying this is being filmed in a studio, or this is CGI or something like that?
Correct. And Elon Musk himself says at the press conference, he says, it looks so fake, it must be real.
Who says that?
Elon Musk says that you can find that quote on YouTube. It looks so fake, it must be real. Now, think about this. If he put a Roadster, into space, in other words, it was just a totally normal Roadster, no modifications, how come the tires didn't pop?
I'm pretty sure they thought about that.
No, well, he said no, it's just, this is his own words, that we didn't modify it at all, it's just a regular car, and in space they say that there's violent temperatures, there's
I know Elon Musk,
You know him personally?
I don't know him personally, but I've been following him since I read about the Tesla. I love the Tesla, and I love everything about it, and I love SpaceX, and I love everything he's doing, like going to Mars, and in 2025 he will make a trip, for the first outer space trip for a Chinese billionaire, I don't think, but it will be 2025. You can watch that, and I don't think that he's stupid enough to send the tires as is to the outer space. Like I know he said they didn't change anything. But this is like multi-billion-dollar mission, like the Falcon Heavy. This is the biggest line, and if you know, they brought like two. There were 3 parts. They brought 2 back to Earth.
Yes, I know about that. But I don't know if you realize this. When they do a rocket launch, they quite quickly move from seeing something real, something making a lot of noise, taking off from a launch pad. They move to a CGI version of this rocket. That's their own admission.
It has to be like super powered CGI, because you can't tell the difference.
Have you heard of a movie that Sandra Bullock was in? It was called Gravity.
Gravity, I've heard of it.
Now Gravity, she really looks like she's in space. Would you agree?
Yeah, Depends. I don't know what space looks like.
Okay, well then we have to accept that Hollywood's version of that, and then therefore if they have the capacity to make Sandra Bullock look like she's in what we think is space, then they have the potential to put a car out there and make that look like it's in space. So I would say to you this:
You were talking about the launch.
well, if you go back and watch some of the like Elon Musk launches debunked kind of stuff and see what people do, they'll point you to the points in the film where they say, right, we're going to now move from this camera to this camera, and then all of a sudden you're seeing the tail end, and you're seeing the cone get hotter and hotter. That's all the CGI side of it. You know what they've never done, Zane, is they've never put a camera. Never. NASA, Musk, none of them have ever put a camera on the nose cone of a rocket and with an unbroken feed just gone from Earth right up into space and broken through the sort of the non-existent barrier. Well, take a camera and just fire a rocket up. And just don't change the feed. Just use the exact same camera all the way into space. They've never done that. They always give you a change in camera.
You are talking. Excuse me. You are talking about the huge space launches. Yeah. I know a YouTuber. I don't know if you know him. His name is His name is Tom Scott.
Tom Scott.
Tom Scott. I don't know if you know him like this.
Gingerbread.
Oh no, Tom Scott. No.
So sending a gingerbread to Mars.
Right.
To space. Yeah.
Last year.
Yeah.
He hanged a piece of bread to a thing, and I don't know if it was like a balloon or something like that.
Yeah.
And he just let it fly like a helium balloon.
Okay.
Balloon. Would.
Yeah.
And it just keeps going up. It just keeps going up, and
hey, baby boy,
until it reaches up and up, and it's in space. And I think.
Do you think that's space? Do you think that's space?
I don't think. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I will show you. And this is Earth, and this is the curvature.
Okay.
It went up pretty up. I don't know. It went like 27 kilometers. This is not outer space.
Yeah.
It's the space. It's what meters. This is not outer space.
Yeah.
It's the space. It's what if you go up.
Yeah.
What you will see.
Do you think that does that fall back to Earth?
And it's there.
Within the Earth's gravity and stuff like that, it can't be in the vacuum of space. Otherwise, it would just fly away. Okay. So I got no problem with 20 Ks.
It haven't
30
reached
Ks.
the thing.
No.
But how would you explain? How do you explain the curvature?
Well, when you use a wide-angle lens, if the horizon
You're
isn't
talking about
exact-
distortion.
Yes. So there's two ways of distorting it. You can either use a fisheye lens, which obviously they use with the Red Bull jump, or when you take a wide-angle lens and you take it slightly off the horizon, it will bend the horizon. And sometimes when you look at this footage closely, you will see the horizon concave and convex.
Wait,
so it goes between both.
A fisheye lens.
Yes.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
This is the same lens.
Wait, sorry. If you take a fisheye lens,
Yeah.
all of the picture will bend, not only the background.
Uh-huh.
It's like if you see the bread,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
gingerbread.
Yeah.
The bread is the same.
Yeah.
Just the background.
Yeah.
Just the earth.
Yeah.
That is earth.
Well, it depends, because you see that bread is on a fixed platform, which is right on the center line of that thing. So no, it won't.
Before they sent it to space, this is like footage from the. This is a 2 hour 39 minutes video, long video, unedited version of this experiment. And if you can see before it's perfectly it's a normal lens.
Yes.
It's not distorted. The video is not distorted. You can see.
Well, I would have to look at that more closely, and I'm sure my friends. I can see. Look, I can see already curvature in that shot there. Yeah, I'm going to ask you a question, which is slightly on that topic, but just food for thought. This is food for thought, Zane.
Yeah.
If we're on a spinning ball, okay. Let's just say, where was he? In England or in America, or something like that? Israel or where?
England.
Okay, in England,
Yeah.
we're spinning at about 600 miles an hour. Okay, when I leave the surface of the moving ball, should the object that's left the surface stay in line with me, or would it get left behind as I turn away from it?
Wait, what was that? I didn't understand.
It depends.
Okay, so I'm standing on a spinning ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm spinning at 600 miles an hour,
Where are you
even though I
standing on the
can't.
spinning ball?
In England.
And a spinning ball.
No, I'm standing on Earth, and the Earth is spinning beneath my feet at 600 miles an hour, apparently. when I leave the surface of the earth, is the air going to move with me, and is my bread going to move with me, or is it going to get left behind as I spin away from it?
Do you want the answer? The answer is it's the thing, the atmosphere.
Yes.
Our atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like from here until 80 kilometers, I think the thermosphere or something like that. This is still Earth's atmosphere.
Yeah.
Everything up there will rotate with Earth.
With the earth.
Yeah.
Okay. So
like it goes.
it all moves. It all moves.
You go
Okay.
to outer space. When you go to outer space,
Okay.
you can stay still. There is no.
Okay.
If you don't have anything,
All right.
like if you went to outer space right now, you stay still.
Sure.
You
The earth
don't
will
move.
move. Yeah. Okay.
There will be no
all right.
force affecting you to
Okay,
move.
so then if you accept that that's what's happening, and I'm moving at 600 miles an hour here, but I go up to 20 miles, say 20 miles high, like your bread did, yeah, the air.
His was still in the atmosphere.
Yes, yes, okay. Okay.
I want to repeat this again.
I get that. No,
was
that's
still in the atmosphere.
That's fine.
of the
Just
Earth.
hear my question.
Yeah.
If I go up to 20 miles, is the column of air moving faster than 600 miles an hour? Because in order for the air 20 miles above me to stay above my head, it has to be moving faster than me. Okay, all right. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, that it's moving 50 miles an hour faster than me. So it's moving at 650 miles an hour, and the whole air column above me is all moving neatly. I've got an aeroplane. Okay, I want to take off on my aeroplane, and I want to fly against that 650 mile an hour wind. Okay? Because you say it's moving with me at 600 odd miles an hour. I've got an airplane, I want to fly against the spin of the earth. Am I going to have in my airplane a difficult time flying against that?
Of course not. It would be perfectly normal for an airplane, just like here. If I walk like this way,
Yeah. So
it's the same. This don't walk.
But I'm
other
connected.
side.
Yeah, but like so I'm connected. So when we make this argument, or when we hold this view that the column of air is moving with me, then there should be forces associated with that. You know, it's like saying, like, if you and I were walking across the square and there was a 50 mile an hour wind blowing towards us, we would be struggling to walk into that. But your friends who are walking in the opposite direction, they'd be running faster than Usain Bolt. Yes? And this is one of the fallacies that come with the globe earth belief, that this idea that the column of air above me is all moving with me. Aeroplanes don't have to account for it. A pilot who's flying, say, on a north-south heading doesn't have to account for the wind on his side, depending on which direction he's flying. He doesn't have to account for a much slower or faster journey, depending on whether he's moving into or with that moving body of air. That's just it's food for thought.
I see your point.
Thank you.
And I will
consider that. Yeah. Because I'm not here to convert you. I'm here to alert you that we've all been fed a whole lot of misinformation. I think I'm a reasonably intelligent guy. So when I was raising my older children on the idea that they lived on a spinning ball, I truly believed in the stuff that you're telling me now. These things all made sense to me. But now I've come up with all these ideas that I can offer to you as thoughts to go, yeah, maybe that doesn't make as much sense as I thought.
We're going to have to pack up soon.
Oh, we're going to be packing up soon. But so there's so much. There's so much to work through in your own mind, because the only person who can liberate your mind is you. The cage was being given to us all by the power structure, the governments, the religions, the science, and so on.
How do you explain time zone?
Time zones? Well, can we go back to my model of a sun moving across this square? But the square, the light is only strong enough to illuminate 50 meters of the square, and I can see it coming, but I'm still in the dark. But now it's starting to get lighter. Ooh, very bright, is right above my head, and then off it goes into the distance. So the people who live on that side of the square, they're already in nighttime, but for me it's midday. That's time zones. And so if you take Australia or Japan as being the land of the rising sun, that's where the sun rises each day, perhaps, and it comes across the plains of the earth through Russia, through Europe, Africa and America and so on, and that's how we have time zones. It's a 24-hour cycle from start to finish, but that's simply how we have time zones, in my view. And the seasons are a similar thing, simply that in the middle. Yes, Zane.
Okay, I have a question. So you're saying the sun would come from this side?
East to west, yes.
Yeah, let's say east to west.
East to west
Yes.
to here.
Yes.
And this is a 24-hour journey.
Cycle,
How
yes.
does it get back there?
One at a time.
Yeah,
one at a time. One at a time.
The next day, yeah, that was my question.
Yeah.
Okay.
The next day,
Yes.
when the sun will come also from the
Again.
same direction.
Yes.
And it was
Okay.
there.
Well, that's why people, because we're only talking about models here, and there's no certainty with this. There's only a theory.
Okay.
But why people prefer the round model, because then it's like, okay, it's back in Japan again in 24 hours time. It's kind of going to do the circuit, like a racetrack. So it'll be back in Japan. That's much easier to kind of understand. For me and for those people who prefer a model where there's a pulse of light that's fired every 24 hours, or it might be more, but let's not get into complicated things, that there's a pulse of light or an energy source that gets boom, fired every 24 hours, and it comes across the side and then dies, say in Hawaii. But I don't want to make it complicated, just to say that it could just be an energetic, like a heart monitor, bloop, bloop, bloop. Every 24 hours you've got a new sun pops up, and so it doesn't have to be it's the same sun, it's just that it's a new spark, it's a new, like the earth is like a living being. The tides are like it's breathing twice a day. It only needs to breathe twice a day. And so the sea rises and sets twice a day. And then like a heartbeat, once a day, boom, you get a heartbeat, boom. Once a day, every day, every 24 hours, and it comes across.
Where that comes from? How does it form?
Well, I mean, we could, when you and I have decided that we know that water is level and we've been lied to about everything, we could sit around a campfire with some doobie, a little bit of marijuana, and we could discuss these ideas all night long. Talk about, or beer if you prefer alcohol, but we could talk about these ideas all night long.
Normal right now. Like, I'm just asking, where does that light forms? How does that forms? What is that light?
Well, these are things that we may never know. I have to say.
How do you know that there's a light?
Well, we can see the light. How does it work? Theory. I don't know. I don't know. We can observe a light. How does it actually work and so on?
Theories.
Yeah. Okay. But I acknowledge that. I'm willing to say that those are my theories. But the facts are water is level. But how does it work? We don't know. No one's claiming to have the absolute answers of that. What's below us? Don't know. What's above us, above 20 miles, 30 miles? Don't know.
So to sum that up, the Earth is flat and circle.
I don't know about a circle either. I don't know that it's a circle. I don't know.
How does the sun and the moon comes around at the same size?
Yeah, these, my friends, Frank, is things that perhaps, maybe. But if all humanity was to put its mind and its Elon Musk money and stuff like that, we might work this stuff out. But perhaps we're not meant to work it all out. What we are meant to work out is that we're the center of creation, and that this place was made for us, perfect for us to have this wonderful experience, not be turned into slaves where there's not enough oil, not enough resources to go around, where we're made to feel bad about being alive, that we're responsible for climate change, we're responsible for wars and all this sort of stuff. That's all designed to mess with us. That's all designed to keep us on fear and stop us from ever rising.
It's not designed. It's like we did it.
Yes, maybe it's
everything.
But that's through ignorance.
We are.
But that's through ignorance, because we've been told we were monkeys. We're an evolution.
Where's your friend smoking?
Well, because he likes it, but that's a theory.
That's not a theory.
No, he factually smokes, but why does he? Is my theory, because he likes it. Because maybe he's got an addiction. I think this is.
The ones that are causing climate change. We're the ones that are causing.
Well, hold on a second though.
Crime, we're the ones that are
but
causing
we're not the one that
wars.
puts in a cigarette, for instance. Tobacco, actually, the tobacco plant isn't harmful.
Whatever.
But then, no, it's greed. It's greed that
makes it addictive. They put chemicals in.
Yeah.
We are conscious that we are. We're conscious. We read at the packet that it's addictive and we still.
For our
Yes.
We're conscious.
Absolutely.
So we read at the package and we still smoke.
Yes. So I offer you this. Yeah, I offer you this.
It's in our mind.
Yeah, I offer you this. We are born into the system that is like a dark system.
Even though I didn't get the question of how are we born, how are we formed. Okay, we are born. Let's say.
Yeah.
I think we're creative.
Yeah. Okay.
We're not born.
Created. All right. Yeah, we like that. I mean, we think so, and that everything happens for a reason, including this interaction today. Because I'm hoping that as young men.
30 minutes before.
Really?
We just met the.
Really?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were all friends. But well, I'm hoping that you have enough questions in your own mind to go away and do research because actually, good. Thanks, Zane. Well, it means a lot to me because we've come here to try and make a difference in people's lives. Not selling you anything, not asking you to join any club, but saying that you are so important. If you free your mind, you will achieve that. You'll achieve that. X, Y, and Z. Now I know my ABC. Next time.
Thank you so much.
It's been a real pleasure, Frank. A real pleasure. I wish you well. Thank you, Zane. I appreciate that. I wish you guys a great life. A great life. Goodbye.
Right. Have you had a look at the building?
Wow. Wow, that is a magnificent building.
Look on
YouTube or...
on YouTube.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm on live YouTube. Oh, yeah, this live stream is called Jason of the Disbury family.
Jason
Hey, the bells. My friends, what do you think? We have schmacked Munich today. Schmacked Munich. The earth, my friends, the earth. Your government has lied to you. Your science. I lost my stream as I went crazy. The earth. We have schmacked the heck out of Munich today. The earth is flat, my dear. Look to this. The earth is flat, not a globe. NASA is faking space. They are deceiving the hell out of you. So I have obviously stolen Jason of the Disbury family's camera, phone. I may not be found again. I want to thank you all for watching. I know those conversations with Frank and Zane and the previous guy and that lady whose name is, her name was, okay, I won't waste your time on that. But it's been a brilliant day here on the streets, and what a beautiful setting that we've had for that. I'm sure you've caught lots of this fabulous cathedral. We did some chalk on the road. We had our banners up. The police were right here when we were setting up this morning, and what did they do? Nothing but drive away. I mean, how's that for a contrast? None of it in Liechtenstein yesterday. None of it in Liechtenstein yesterday. Anyway, my hands are freezing cold. This has been a long stream, but I will want to end it off by... Hey guys, I wanted to just say what a fantastic day!
What a fantastic day,
what
man!
A fantastic day! Earth is flat! Earth is flat, my friends! The NASA is lying to you! So, we have had a brilliant day, and I think it's time to head off. Jack has been unbelievably smacking here. Unbelievably. And how about you? Have you had a really...
I had a really good conversation with the guy at the end.
Oh,
Well, I had a
fantastic.
conversation with him too.
Sorry, I didn't get to talk to him. but-
I had to hand over to Lisa for the more technical bits, but he was really open-minded guy. Really open-minded.
Yeah, he asked
From
lots of
Oman.
questions and I gave him lots of answers and he was really intrigued.
Fantastic. No, we've had some really good conversations here in Munich today. I found people a lot more receptive than perhaps I might have thought.
Except for the guy that gave me the coin. What did he say?
Yeah, the guy with the coin, he said, this is great comedy. Where's your hat? I want to put a coin in. Well, we'll put that euro into the kitty and hopefully it'll go well. Anyway, what a fantastic day. We're going to be doing the wrap-up later on at 11 o'clock our time, which is 10 o'clock English time and whatever time you are in the world. You understand time zones better than the Globers. We should say goodbye. Thank you very much. And keep it flat. Keep it flat. That's it. That's it.